ROTHSCHILD.com. Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, I heard media can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anywhere else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively. Across radio, video, podcasting, and social. Would you like to figure out iron media to work with you? From your cell dial pound 260 and say keyword, great results. Pound 250, great results. How much do you think your home is worth this year? Do you think it's going to be worth the same next year? You're thinking about borrowing on your home equity. Your odds of getting more out of your home is probably higher now than it will be next year. I certainly believe that. Some experts predict that property values might decline over the next few years, making it more challenging for borrowers to tap into that home equity. If you need $75,000 or more, HMS Capital helps you borrow the money you need for the equity you've built. So whether you want to consolidate debt with home improvement, whatever your situation may be, HMS Capital will have the best solution to help you. So appraisal, credit report fees to apply. I can do mortgages with HMS Capital. Clearly, I'm a fan. I believe they're simply the best at what they do. Call 833-255-5698, 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com. HMS Capital Money is a CPA appropriate IRA. And now other people who I just started to run about interconnected information under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Find December 4-3-0-2-0. Mental Health Awareness Month. The Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health is celebrating with community events in May and June. Go to TakeActionLAC.com to find an event near you and take action for mental health. I love those security questions that I'm asking, to determine that I'm new. What was the name of your first best friend? No friend. What was the name of your first dog? No dog. What's your favorite thing? I think you can Bill Mandel. I have a hard time filling those out. Live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app. KFI live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. This is Jacob and Rabbi. You get involved in a motorcycle accident, call 244-24 KFI. They know the story. Coast to coast and worldwide on internet. This is Coast to Coast AM with George Ness. Now, here's George. The Sainsbury Britain bring us into hour 4 of my Coast to Coast program, talking with Ken and Tankard about their new, expanded, beautiful version of their book.
You were right. I am back. Apologies, my internet went down, but I am here for as long as I can.
And other great stories that you tell in your book. For example, we had Grant Cameron in the first half, and as I mentioned a couple of times, there's from different phenomena, UFO phenomena, going over into what we might think of super-type, ghost-type incidents. Well, it's booked in reverse, too, in her book, and then tells a story about mediums who manifest in food. And hear that at the moment on Coast to Coast. when bonds devalue and the stock market is in turmoil, you'll be glad you own gold, something you can hold physically and safe at your house. And now you can also hold it in a retirement account. In fact, if you have an old IRA or 401k that's tied to a risky stock market, you can roll that over without spending an additional penny to a physical IRA and precious metals. Convert gold to help you own physical gold in the tax shelter account. I've known Bert Gold for a long time. He's been on the show several times. Just text the word post to 989898. Get a free
Look, and were you able to figure out your line in issue with your music?
With an A+ rating with a Better Business Bureau, thousands of happy customers, and countless 5-star reviews, you can trust Bert Gold to give you honest advice in protecting your savings with gold. Text post to 989898 and find peace of mind in gold. Real people, real stories. And I talk before show 24 hours a day. That shouldn't enough past my door with that literally talking.
I still want to know what your secret is to have such long streaks. I tried to do it on both an Android and an iOS, and for some reason there's a 24 hours cutoff. And I know other people have had the same issue. What do you do that's special that allows you to do it with the PC?
In 1 week, my coffee has stopped since I put in the carnivore. Everyone that was in our school would say, "What happened? Why are you not coffee?" I told them what I'm doing, and they said, "Well, what is it? And stop that coffee." I said, "I can't answer that. It's up something." On 866-836-8735 and 866-836-8735.
When you are on your PC, do you use an emulator?
And then let's talk about how it works. You know, the death is not the end. It's the basic message that something in us, our consciousness goes on, and then certain mediums are able to communicate the dead speaks through them. Why does that happen? Where is that consciousness? Where does it go? You know, I don't know. It was a mystery to me when I first began, but the medium who I worked with tell me that you know, it's something that happens. It happens. It erupts in people's lives after death or a trauma. Sometimes people will actually see their loved ones, and for these mediums, they can be contacted in their mind through spirits who want to make contact and still have something to say. You know, I'm not sure of the mechanics, and I think the mechanics are mysterious, and I think there's a lot going on that relates to time and consciousness and also chemistry between people. Sometimes a medium can give a great reading to somebody and then give a bad reading to somebody else. So it remains mysterious, but there's a lot of compelling experiences people happen that makes me believe there's definitely something to it. Well, let's talk about some of those. I think at one point in your book, you wrote that bereavement was a driving force in the growth of public interest in spiritualism. Obviously, people are hurting when their loved one dies. They, for a variety of reasons, want to still be able to communicate. And in some cases, mediums have been able to give a lot of pain relief to these folks, right? Yes, I mean, even when my own mother died, one of my close friends was a medium at Royal, in Martin Thibodeau, and when my mother died, both my brother and my sister, they said, "Oh, we're going to get tattoos for mom. You know, I'm going to get this tattooed, I'm going to get that tattooed." And I just forgot to do it, so that I just said, "Okay, you know, whatever." And then the next morning, I get a text from my friend Lauren, and she said, "Oh, you're going to get tattoos, you know, your mom already gave it to me." And she gave it as long as the things my mom said, and then she said, "Yeah, well, yeah." She said, "Tell them no tattoos." And then she took off. And so, you know, that's just as practical as your mom is allowed to get tattoo. You've had other communications with your mom. You think they're for real? I mean, they're legit. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely when my friend Lauren gave me that message, it was hard to deny that it happened. But also it's also hard to acknowledge because it's so it's also mysterious. But I really did feel like that was something that I couldn't deny that had happened.
The first sit down with a medium in Williston. He told you something that turned out to be accurate. Did not know. There's no way he knew you had an aunt in Texas with yourself.
Has anyone seen any of these CIA station masks that basically actors can wear to look like other people? I saw something on Twitter about it, and I've seen other things about it. Does anyone know more? I guess like George Herbert Walker Bush was briefed on the program in the early 90s, and they're so realistic that, you can't tell the difference being really close up to them. Do you think that these are being used currently with potentially actors or politicians?
Oh God, he's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong. And then 5 years later, everything that he said actually is true. But it also has meaning that different groups resonate the same way. So it's hard to, when you're having all these experiences and not all of them resonate that way, it's hard not to question what's going on. And, that's why I always say, I ended up with more questions than I have answers, and I just keep getting more questions.
You write about the mechanical experiences where you see is not you after and you hear more about that below.
Yes, in the book I cover, there's one monitor named Anonymous, and he goes into trance and
I'm in agreement on the ears. And you would think, though, that if they could get such realistic masks, they would ensure that the real person, perhaps, that they are on the fake person. I'm just interested, why, if you had such a realistic mask, would you ensure that the ears were exactly the same as well?
It's very dangerous. That's why, the national organizations, they don't want you doing things like that. Like, you can't do that in the church. You have to do that in the home circle. And so it was interesting to see that movements from around the world are saying the same thing, where it's kind of like hard to align those energies, and it's hard to make that work in a mediumistic way.
I'm in agreement with you.
What I discovered is
I'm not going to name any specific politicians, perhaps I will, but there's one in particular who they say had a facelift, and everybody just agrees that they had a facelift and that's fine. But generally, they don't look like their former self, and it's very suspicious to me. And I watch these videos, and things could be AI or deepfakes as well. But it's interesting to me that perhaps some politicians don't even look like they did even a few years ago. And if you say anything about it, then it's just like, oh, well, they had a facelift. It's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't change the structure of your ear, and it doesn't perhaps change your eye color and some other things that are, allegedly different in some politicians. And I'm glad I'm not alone in thinking that this perhaps maybe has been used for at least now 30 years, and makes me wonder who else is been using it and for what nefarious reasons.
Where they go around the body, they kind of that's but healing is one of the primary aspects of spiritualism, and it does play a big part. Right now I'm working on a book of an archive of a group that was active in America, and one of the people in that was killed from blindness, and I interviewed.
But Logan, the guy who impersonates you, he might be making a mask out of your face as we speak.
That's in your book. For a couple of sections, deal with celebrity heroes. After that, Louis Armstrong popped up all over the place.
Yes, Louis Armstrong, Mercury, Michael Jackson's really popular. That's one of the, it kind of brings a lot of humor and laughing nature to it, and I was actually fascinated by, at one time Elvis was really popular, and I did have British mediums who had gotten messages from him. And I discovered that since the early days of spiritualism, this like celebrities popping in has been started. I mean, early on, the most famous spirit who was going around was Benjamin Franklin. He was appearing in the early seances, along with the most famous mediums. And so that's something I found it really interesting, and I tried to do as much as I could about that in the book.
Yeah, Ben Franklin, that makes sense to me. He'd be the kind of guy that still wants to get things off his chest after he goes on. Elvis, you have a photo in your book, one of your great photos there, of a message from Elvis on the other side. What's the story behind that?
Oh, yeah, my friend William in England named Myra Basie, who said after Elvis died, he started doing this, I guess, automatic writing where she just places his hand with a pen that's not in her, in between her fingers, but atop her fingers. It's an unusual way of doing it. And because Elvis took his hand and writes messages, and so one of the messages he wrote is in the book. And this was one, during the movie, the great near-death experience research wrote a book called Elvis Afterlife, because he collected so many stories of people who had experiences with Elvis after Elvis died. So, he said that this started happening.
Is there any supporting material that note is could be from help for his spirit? Is there something that he said in it that resonates?
I may have mentioned this before in this room, but if I have, apologies, it hasn't been recent. Has anyone noticed the difference between 4G, 4G LTE, and 5G?
So he has thousands of these messages, and I haven't written them all, or read them all. And I didn't take them to
well, perhaps connectivity or broadband speed.
The whole automatic writing thing is spiritual with the speed.
Personally, I feel like they're all the same. I don't really see that there's been that much of a difference.
This medium who are contacted by the spirits of famous dead celebrities, I tell you, in my mind, mentally equated this with past lives, with people who had through their contacted by spirits of famous dead celebrities, or they were famous dead celebrity, they were.
My knowledge is shorter, and I mean 4G does that too, going through your roof and things like that. But I would have expected 5G to be almost like instant download speeds and upload speeds and connectivity. You shouldn't have things that drop, and it just seems like it's exactly the same. It's almost as if it's no different.
Elvis kept clapping in for her reading, and she said, I'm not, this can't be, I'm not giving this message. And she kept clapping them out of her head, and then he was persistent, so she finally said to the woman, I just keep getting out of
I'm in agreement with you, and I know it's very powerful. From what I've read, it can move a car. It's so strong. But yet, it can't, improve some of the connectivity issues that we deal with on a daily basis in, civilized society. And I didn't know if I was the only person who felt this way. It seems like I'm in a big company that most people haven't been able to tell that much of a difference.
And so she goes to Switzerland and gives this message to Judy. And so she goes to this event where that I'm really giving a message for you. And he said, tell him that one time his cat kicked in the toaster. And he finds this guy and says that, and he was shocked, and he said, that actually happened. And then he took the message because of that. So I don't know how to explain it.
We've been on 5G, I think now, something like December of 2019, I want to say. And at least in the United States, I remember the day that they said they flipped the switch or whatever. And so that's now almost 4 years ago. And we haven't really seen that much of a difference. And we should be moving towards 6G, whatever that is. But it's like, we haven't even seen a difference in 5G. And so I don't know what 6G, but in my opinion, it seems as if it might be used by governments and such to have improved connectivity, but the average citizen who's paying for 5G service is the exact same that you have 4G and 4G LTE.
We don't have parapsychology as a really strong science, so that is going into other realms, and the consciousness thing, and people are more open to it, but I don't know. I think we still need to figure out a way to create a science for this, I wish there was more parapsychology. Um, I don't know how we merge all of those, but the quantity is definitely, maybe as we progress with quantum, it'll be near that field of parapsychology.
But that's not your focus. That's your business. That's your expertise. It's photography. This is photos. They're all, I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not even a good photographer, but boy, these are so well crafted and positioned and composition is terrific. Which of these photos do you think carries the most weight in terms of documenting the kinds of experiences that you've had, the kinds of things that mediums have taught you?
Well, there's a few different types of photos in the book. So some of them I'm just documenting kind of some of the historical objects, and then there's the ones where I'm being more experimental. And there was one event where I was photographing this man doing short form dark art, and this is actually how I end the book is one of my most compelling photographic moments where he went into his trance and he said, my face was changed while I'm in trance. And
Go ahead, what was it?
I these pictures were very long exposed of him, in trance. And he does look different in all these pictures. And then in one, he looks like he's almost wearing glasses and a little mustache. And I think I was kind of a spooky picture when I first saw it.
Are we talking the Tic Tac UFO event that happened off the coast of San Diego? So he can remote you in the past? Is that correct? Even like ancient times or prehistoric times?
And I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of these synchronicities that I kind of developed over time with trying to play with the camera and see what it would capture either using long exposure or allowing the light move a certain way. And many of the mediums I've met have told me today that somehow the pictures can say things that about the millions of that words cannot. And I took that as a good compliment and started to think maybe there's more to this using art and photography to talk about these topics. We're very focused on science, so maybe art does have a place here.
There's a photo in the book that does occupy, I think it's the third storyteller who seems to be really there.
Yeah, there was a woman named, I don't know her name, I think her person was Norma. He was free to bring her to upstate New York to do events, and so he made this collage.
Did he describe what the inside of the Tic Tac was like?
Really don't now, so I was able to use a piece of that. And I actually, I had
yeah, if you can't ask them to be as specific as possible, like does it have different floors? What's the color on the inside? Does it have chairs? Does it have a place to go to the bathroom? I mean, I know the answers to some of these, but I'd love to know his opinion.
He's been a great guy. I've actually asked him several different questions. He always gets back to me. He's a lovely person.
Other questions would be, how's it propelled? What's its energy source? Does it have what's its navigation system? Who owns it? What alien life form is behind the ship itself?
Right, but I think he brought it into the culture.
If it's alien, it could be human, I guess.
A lot of, you think about table picking or,
I'll have to take a look at it again to be able to properly answer your question. Just one moment. Let me take another look at it.
It's exactly what kind of different spiritualism, and now they can do things like spoon bending, but when you take a spoon bending class in spiritualism, it's different from the Uri technique. It's not like you just look at it. They hold it in their hands. It's kind of like a mind over matter exercise, where you use your mind to soften the spoon and then you physically bend it.
That is our guest for both is kind of questions you have for her. We go into the break of heart. We bring
He was able to answer all of that quickly? Is he just like sitting at his keyboard waiting for you to ask him questions? I agree. Is it? Why doesn't he just join the state?
The victims identified themselves as Marines. They were walking along the pier in San Clemente Saturday night when they were attacked. The team punched, kicked, and stomped on the Marines. No major injuries reported, and the investigation has been opened. State Farm Insurance says they will not offer
where is the Galactic Federation
and
state?
President Biden says the debt ceiling agreement has been reached. Southline Weather says they are fine. Here's the drizzle afternoon sun that highs in the 50s below 70s. Right now it's 61 in Seal Beach, 61 for Anaheim.
Wasn't an answer to your question looking at the TikTok. I don't know what is coming off of it. It's as if, I mean, the image that we've seen, or that I've seen, isn't that clear. So I don't know, to be honest with you.
And go to the website, you will believe them. I would not have to just in case those two cars are actually have the right news past that. So if I just start up, get to get faster, I'm so cool. I want to give you access to the high views, which is going to stand to you. We're on June 1st. We're giving you access to what you never before. It's iHeartRadio Access Day. Our 24-hour way of saying how you can listen to it. Go to iHeartRadioAccessDay.com today. You're getting 21 with the correct for a VIP experience at our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas. Go to iHeartRadioAccessDay.com. You can get your reminders for when you're and more to your life.
I'm in agreement with you. You would think that they would be able to overcome that technological difficulty of that those moves.
Innovation Refunds has already completed over 17,000 returns from many different kinds of business. Construction, retail, restaurants, bars, hotels, professional corporations, and so many more. There are other companies that specialize in the ERP tax refunds, but not every company is the same. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of five-star Trustpilot and Google reviews and are certified with the Better Business Bureau. Trust your business with the experts I do. Innovation Refunds. Go to getrefunds.com, start the process, and you know, let's do this. We've already helped clients claim over $5 billion in tax refunds through the ERC. So go to getrefunds.com or download the app from the App Store, getrefunds.com. Mental health awareness. The Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health is celebrating its community event in non-only June. Go to TakeActionLAC.com to find an event near you and take action for mental health. Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively. Across radio, email, podcasting, and social. We can figure out iHeartMedia to work for you. You can start today. iHeartAdvertising.com. There's iHeartAdvertising.com. AFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. AFI, AM 640. AFI, AM 640.
is there any way to test his remote viewing abilities? Like, okay, ask him to remote view what my bathroom is. That's how you would test someone who says that they have this kind of para scientific knowledge. You would give them something that you know, and then you test them on it. Ask him to describe my bathroom. To remote view. You can. I'll give you. Tell him the address is it's on my profile. If you need it. 3921 Claremont Street, Irvine, California 92614, and ask him to remote view my bathroom. That's correct. Yep, it's on my profile. The first time caller line is 848-501-4721. To talk toll free to the Rocky, call 800-825-5032. Alright, ask him to describe my toilet. My toilet has a special toilet. I want to know if he can, like, how well he can remote view. Ask him about the color, all that kind of stuff. I don't think anybody knows how it works, but anybody who says that they can remote view, like basically picture something outside of their body, should be able to describe something, or else they're just taking guesses.
Looking to switch to the most trusted wireless brand? Choose Consumer Cellular. They've been offering superior nationwide coverage for over 27 years. Switch today to save up to half on your wireless bill. They offer unlimited talk and text.
I want him to be right, but I need to be able to test him to be able to trust him, or else it's just somebody who's just.
Phone and number and activation is free. Plus, you can add a family member to your plan for just $15 a month. Never worry about dropped calls because
I guess we can see, but I mean, like, if we're taking his word for what's underneath the TikTok off the coast of San Diego, I don't know, and I don't think anybody here knows. But I know what my bathroom looks like, and if you can describe it with any kind of detail, you're like, oh wow, well then he does have some kind of paranormal gift. But if he doesn't, then how am I going to trust what he said about the San Diego TikTok?
There's no sign of identity theft slowing down, and why should it? More than $14 billion was stolen from identity theft victims last year alone. The cyber criminals, it's a success story. For the rest of us, it's a wake-up call. Your personal website is in more places now than ever, and all that exposure can make it dangerously easy to steal your identity. Whitewash by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself by monitoring your identity and alerting you to threats you couldn't miss on your own. If you become a victim of identity theft, a U.S.-based whitewash restoration specialist will be dedicated to your case and work to defend. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions.
I agree, it is. It definitely is, especially with the government and their interest in it as well. I've never known anyone to be able to do it accurately. That isn't to say that I've known anybody to do it inaccurately either. I don't really know that many people who do it, but to give them a somewhat easy test is interesting to me, and to be able to judge their abilities. I mean, it's very easy for someone to just go on the internet and spot lies. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I want them to be accurate, and I know they're quite a famous person. Uh, but I've never known them to be tested on it. So here's their opportunity.
Lectures and lessons. If you try to clean the medium roll yourself, you see a couple of slugs that happen to you. Some like they will like you, and most people can learn the protocol from help them to do it.
Well, yes, a spiritualist believes that, and that's what they talk to me.
Okay, to be honest, that could be anything. It's a self-cleaning toilet. That's what I wanted him to say. That's a big thing about it. You people have a self-cleaning toilet. My landlord installed that a couple of years ago, but basically there's a button on it that cleans itself. It's pretty futuristic. You would think it is. It has the flush, certainly, but then it has different modes on it. So basically, it can shoot out some like toilet bowl cleaner, and then the lid automatically closes to like seal it, and then it has this mode that spins the bowl around and cleans it on the inside, and then it's done.
You know, and then I was also able to get her message that was being popular, but I don't do that on my own normally. So, but I think,
I figured you would, because his answers are very quick, and I wouldn't imagine that English Blonde is just sitting there like on AOL Instant Messenger or whatever with Logan. But
yeah, yeah. And then I took it away further, and I don't remember the message I gave her, but she found it meaningful. But I don't do that normally.
Good morning, Brandon. How you doing? Thank you so much, George. And congratulations on your graphic novel, George. Oh, thank you. Yeah, everybody should type in George Nathaniel for podcast.
thank you so much. No. I'm glad that you did that. I'm very happy you did. Thank you.
I have hundreds of recordings of myself talking to the day. And one thing I realized is you don't get evidence just would allow you to do it. And the last step was just talking about that too, with the whole UAP thing. It's so often like they're perfectly doing it. And George, the Marines on the 29 Palms video, that was amazing. But that sounded exactly like me and my friends in our video.
Heather's your MVP of the night. She's bringing truth to the room. Love it.
We were saying the same words as the Marines. I was blown away by that. And I think I sent you that video alternative again sometime. But it's if you're called to do this, if you're a medium, like we were talking about earlier, I think that I'm a medium, that I'm really young, that I'm just figuring out how this stuff out. It's all coming to me and like I'm figuring out how myself. So what courses and people should I go to?
So Logan,
Learn more about
are you
mediumship?
just asking ChatGPT
Oh,
these
that's a
questions?
really good question. And so, like you're just talking about, you know, the classes.
Bingo's dead, man.
Uh,
Heather just blew the whistle.
Teacher, I mean, really down they do development courses. Some of them are dependent on being close. One of my favorite places in the world is a place called Arthur College in England, and there's a chapter about that place. It's a spiritual college outside of London, and you can do intensive courses there, and you can actually get a certification there. You could go for a week and do an intensive course with, uh, you know, a seasoned medium. So, I mean, I guess I would advise you to find a teacher. And, you know, that makes sense in traditionally, you know, that a lot of times you learn for the new types of practices, and there are different teachers out there. Oh, yes. In Roseville, New York, July 27th through 29th, I'm hosting a symposium, and it will be starts on a Thursday night.
I've seen that lady who confronts him when he's sitting in his car, right? And she's like, why do you need a friend to be able to fly all these places in addition to the school?
The curator and the principal of the College of Psychic Studies in London are going to come. And when we're talking about also the TRILLIONAIRE of manifestations, the guys who the podcast with studies are going to be there. It's going to be this conversation, and we're going to do a deep dive into creativity, spiritualism, all of these topics that we're going to be discussing tonight. It's going to be really fun.
They have links where you can find Janet on the those website if you're interested in more information. So the Rocky Joe on Long Island. Hey Joe, what's on your mind? One aspect of photograph, you know, not necessarily so going up in a photograph an object. Now, say, you know, for example, if you were to take photographs at medieval castles, medieval churches, the palace on and Greece, sort of on the Colosseum, if you could actually find objects in these photographs that are otherwise not visible to the eye.
Well, I guess this is kind of a lot of what people are seeing now in those types of circumstances of war photography. A lot of people are reporting war showing up in charged spaces. And you get a lot of emails about that. A lot of times if you live, or there's a photograph of some form of list that they can explain. I actually interested in experimenting more with different landscapes, such as you mentioned, but haven't done much of that work yet. But I do get a lot of people writing me with images that they've taken at such places, and they have orbs or mists or different kind of anomalies on their profile.
We did not get into the secret that mentioned it for earlier in connection with your hosting that you could be in a 14 years. It's all just your own center.
Yes, I believe in synopsis where where airports happen, although it's usually dark, so it's hard to see, but and one of the pictures in my book is of a silver TRUMAN bank, and that is an airport that fell into my lap in the middle of a camp. That I was with a medium. I don't know how it happened to drop into my lap, but I did. It was dark, so I don't know. I can't prove anything, but it was a really cool experience. But yes, I photographed some of the most famous airports ever, which are some of the airports that happened to the Skoll experiment, and those are included in my book also. And in the back, I kind of tell the story of that.
We might have to talk about the story the next time you come back, because that's the topic on the show. We're going to take a look.
I'm mostly too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this is a fun about the whole experiment, because it really was a pretty dramatic result from that.
Yeah, it was a scientific society in England that produced all this audio, video. There was a lot of parapsychology studying them. It only went on for 4 or 5 years, but it produced a lot of material. And like I
Heather,
said,
what is the art in your scanner of that UFO? Is that like glass? Is that like stained glass or something? I can see why. It's beautiful.
It is. And then the main singer and songwriter is very interested in kind of subjects we're discussing, since the post. So we've had some conversations about some of these subject matters in person, and a lot of them still go into the music and the songs that you write. Oh, so glad you told me that. That's terrific information. I'll make sure I go see you next time you get a very close by. Well, I'm pouring out with you coming back to you soon. So check it out. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're having a great time. Right. We're talking with Elaine, and this is Tennessee. Hi, Elaine. Good morning. What's on your mind? Okay.
All right. Good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here's synchronicity, and it's given I haven't heard of you before, but I am so intrigued, and I looked the book I'm on already, and it's beautiful. But you were talking about Kodak and Love House in New York. I was cleaning off the tag on one of my 1920 cameras, and it said exactly that. Because I used the call, and I couldn't get through at first. And then we started talking about Elvis. I'm doing a book on about 5 miles from his grave. I'm not so much into nuances, but I am completely understand theories like Fair and Hers, and for me, of course, Elvis, and I've got all the food theories and put down the food along with Johnny Packers, people, and all kinds of things. And do you have any advice on how I can connect these companies to others? Spiritualism and cemeteries, or photography and cemeteries and photography? Oh, cemeteries and photography. Yeah, there's a big history in that. I think it's almost like that was the first place I went to go and photograph the cemetery. There's a long people who experiment there. A lot of people say, well, you don't need to go to a cemetery in order to, do spiritual prophecy, but I guess they just go and experiment and use it him. And I love that that synchronicity about you touching the Kodak sign when you were talking about it. That's so cool. So obviously you're meant to do this. But yeah, they just go and experiment with all different ways with flash without did you watch photography in cemeteries already? And like, yes, when I was out on the most construction cemetery, I can because I love history and I find it fascinating. And
thanks for the call. Appreciate you sharing that with us. We're going to Joe in the Bronx. Hey, Joe, good morning. Welcome back to Coast to Coast. Oh, thank you, Joe. How are you? Good. Good. Yeah, I want to ask you, in these events, educational, did you experience any more time or time where time slowing down? And also, what is the daily experience you had to get out to reading the person?
okay, thanks for your question. It's interesting that you say that about time because, yeah, that's the primary element to any sort of a paranormal experience is that time behavior when they're not, like they're one that normally don't perceive it, right? So that's why I started to, sometimes I do really long exposures in these dances and that's I started to think, oh, maybe there's something to this, that this recorded time in this situation might actually be more interesting or important than I had considered. Because, usually people say don't do long exposures because it's just a blurry picture, but then you start to consider, well, what is really happening when I'm doing these long exposures? And sometimes when I watch a movie report, I actually think there's a fuller time going on. And yes, when I've been in classes with these time, sometimes it goes very fast, and sometimes I will cry a little bit through the experience. I figured the scariest experience, I'm trying to think, I haven't really had anything, I have to be honest, I really haven't had anything terrifying happening to me that I'm always usually working with people that I trust, in very safe environment. So I've had shocking experiences. There's one in the book that I write about seeing a man can look as if it grew 3 times its size right in front of my eyes. But it was more shocking than scary.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Tell me that. So, we're talking about spirit. I'm not sure if you're I know there was kind of
How is the girl?
kind of a question. You don't know exactly the structure of the essay or if there is one, but what would you say is the difference between those spirits just trying to convey a message and say those that appear physically or poltergeist that really raise a lot?
So it seems like to me that those, the word spirit, or when a medium says the word spirit, it means they're dealing with an intelligence. The consciousness is dealing with an intelligence. Whereas with a ghost, a lot of times, these ghost stories will be like the same woman in the same dress walks down the same hallway and is seen by, generations of people. And that would be described more as like a blueprint or a recording. Some people describe it as the way because we have the Akashic record, that everything is somehow, everything that's ever happened is somehow recorded, that can be accessed on the astral plane. So it might be something along those lines. And then, what was the other thing?
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. Well, poltergeist, a lot of people, a lot of the poltergeist studies say that that's actually just an unconscious mind energy bursting forth in the material realm. So I think there's some overlap in all of these topics, but there are differences.
I've mentioned this a couple of times. You, as this version, this was a new person. What's been this
the day at Martell, and that includes some images that I took during the pandemic, where I was doing streams. I was doing some image, I was doing photography actually via Skype and Facebook, or FaceTime, and I got some really interesting results that I just thought was really compelling. So
Sarah Mormon, and you think you got a thing for Taylor?
And then the rest is from it's all the content from the earlier book, which was just about essentially 20.
Well, thank you for all the great stuff with Shannon, and hopefully do this again sometime. Please keep me in the loop and let us know about how your event goes.
Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time here at the interviewer.
Appreciate you staying up late. Thanks, Shannon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks also to my other guest, Cameron, and to my colleagues at Coast to Coast, Adam Thompson, Ron Walter, Ryan Kibity, Dan Downey, your sports, Rachel Lyons, Tom Van Arger, the Sports Story. I'm George Mack. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Hope you enjoy your Memorial Day holiday. Our thoughts go out to the people that didn't come home from overseas battles, and talk to you soon. The managing partner of ROTHSCHILD. Are you dealing with the aftermath of trade protection? If you're facing mounting medical bills and loss of wages, you may feel overwhelmed and uncertain about what to do next. As custodian marketers, we understand the challenges you're facing. We're here to help. We specialize in handling these complex outpatient cases. Our team of experienced attorneys will fight tirelessly to get what you deserve and help you get your life back on track. Call Jacobian Myers, searching for you since 1972. Hey, let's talk about your home and what is coming at it next. Every home in America, including yours, is going full electric faster than any of us ever had. That means your home needs to be ready for increased electrical demand at a time when the grid is already strained, energy costs are going up, rolling outages is more common than ever. So where do you start? Start by going solar with a complete solar solution. That means electric vehicle-ready panels to cancel out your power bill and attach to a Powerwall backup battery system. Who's to call? The only company that I have trusted to put solar on my home. Sunlight. It's always the best design, the best equipment, world-class installation, and all of it covered with the best warranty and customer service. So get in front of what's coming with a complete ready panel and Powerwall system from Sunlight. Start today at sunlight.com.
Brother, everyone in this room follows me except you. What have I done to you?
Mental Health Awareness Month. The Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health is celebrating with community events and
one day I will earn your Twitter follow.
ActionLAC.com to find an event near you.
I can care less about Facebook though.
I'm Attorney Karen Cavanagh, founder of 1-800-YO-COP, reminding you to exercise your right to express yourself. It doesn't make you look guilty, it makes you look smart. 1-800-YO-COP. Because no one was good at that. Let's get into that sort of thing. 1-800-YO-COP. You tell the answers. Well, we got news for you too. So here's what we got news right now. You know what?
Party gunfire. Irene Tennis. Physically assigned 24-hour news room. 4 people sent to the hospital after gunfire at a party in Moreno Valley. Deputies with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department says it happened just before 9 p.m. Sunday. They have no suspects. A new study by Shark Lab at Cal State Long Beach says there are more sharks in our waters than we think. The official study comes out later this week. They expect the shark attack numbers will go down with the new data. Right now, you have a 1 in 3.75 million chance of being bit by a shark. A man is dead after an officer involved shooting at a Home Depot in Burbank. It happened Saturday afternoon.
I was unaware of this. How did they become BFF?
Just before 4. He was supposed to tell the operator what type of vehicle he was in, the color of the vehicle, and the exact location of the parking lot. Police say the suspect became aggressive and shot ran out. Customers took cover behind vehicles. The man was transported to the hospital where he later died. The CHP continues their maximum enforcement for the Memorial Day weekend. So far this year, they have 73 more arrests than this time last year. CHP maximum enforcement period is tonight at 11:59 p.m. Governor founder Elizabeth Holmes expected to start serving her 11-year sentence in jail on Tuesday to serve her time at Bryan, Texas prison. She was found guilty in January of 2022 on 4 of the 11 fraud and conspiracy counts she was charged with 2 small children. State Farm Insurance says they will no longer offer property insurance for new homes in California. They say it's too expensive to do business here, citing the cost of construction and wildfire risk as an issue. President Biden has confirmed a debt ceiling agreement has been reached, and the Little Mermaid brought in $95.5 million in its first weekend.
Shout out to you, Paramormon, for being around Paul there. I still believe in the Round Paul Revolution. We need to audit that Federal Reserve. Please brief me on him. The libertarian movement, in my opinion, lacks that kind of leader. Rand Paul has not taken over for it, and he still kind of looks like Dr. Rand Paul as that leader. And I wish we had better leaders in the country.
Visit BoxWatches.com/KFI. Get $200 off your first order or $4,000 or dial pound 260 with the keyword Box Watches. Pound 260 the keyword Box Watches. It's the marketing today.
I honestly could get down with Bernie Sanders too in many ways. At least it wasn't one of the mainstream people. And it seems like Bernie's kind of just faded away.
And I think about it, you can say, you can go organize it and bringing in content that perhaps you didn't have a few weeks earlier, it's less 6 months in advance, or 2 months in advance than you do like CDC. You're able to create really nimble content, which I think in this day, in particular Moderna, where we have new information coming out on a regular basis, being able to see that information through the audio format makes being nimble and pivoting easy.
I heard music is marketers access to all, every audience, live conversation, community, with insights and data you need to know. Not just the media, iHeartMedia gives you access. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com. How much do you think your home is worth this year? Do you think it's going to be worth the same next year? You're thinking about
Without getting into their politics, I thought it was absolutely hilarious that DeSantis' his Twitter space has so many technical issues. You would think that, Elon Musk and the Twitter team would have those ironed out for him. And I really hope that it awoke the people at Twitter's development team, particularly Elon Musk and such, that they need to improve the platform. You can't have major guests on and have the space crash on you and have, I guess there were all in all combined 20 minutes of dead air, random coughing, random iterations of music. it really made me feel like this like finally the the people who run the world know what it's like to pull the Twitter space. It can be very technically glitchy. Gotta be a wake up call to Elon Musk though that if he wants people now at least two major candidates have announced their candidacies on Twitter Spaces, those being Robert Kennedy Jr. And Ron DeSantis. People are going to want to use Twitter Spaces for big announcements, big news, but it's just not capable of handling some of the load, I guess, and its capacity needs to be improved. And you just can't say that, oh, we just have so much interest in this that it crashed our servers. Well, then you need to get better servers. You need to use some of that money that you have to improve things, or you're going to continue to look like oh, I'm glad to hear that other people are making him aware as well. He's got the new CEO coming in, Linda Yako, whatever, and she's supposed to be handling like the front end, I guess, the like CEO part, and he's going to be like in the development part. So maybe he'll have more opportunity to dig into some of these things, but it's just so glitchy, particularly when you get into big spaces. The people aren't going to want to use it, and that's it's more that for announcements and getting out information and communicating. But I mean, I've been in some big spaces as well, and they're very glitchy. The more people that join, the worse it gets, and especially I think that this event was an eye opener to him. So hopefully things improve as this year goes on. I know she hasn't had a chance to start the Linda Y lady, but I did see an interview she did recently with Elon Musk saying that they're going to bring back um, content, what was the word? But content auditors, it's not exactly that. But I'm wondering if this, like, part of free speech that we had since November, since Elon's taken over, is going to continue, or if she's going to start to crack down. It'll be interesting. I know only time will tell. Does anyone have any thoughts? I hope it stays the same. That's definitely. I think I personally, if seen a major improvement in it since Elon Musk has taken over, and I hope it continues that way. Really, the only thing that I think can improve on it is its technical aspects, but from what he allows people to say, I think it's really great. There's only one thing with which I disagree with him, on which I disagree with him, and that is that Twitter account that would follow his claims. He basically said that that was doxing him to be able to say where his location was, and to me, and so he just flat out banned that account. And to me, that's not necessarily what doxing is. Doxing is giving the address of someone, generally, or their personal information, but claim that plain information is public information. And I heard, I think it was the BBC questioned him on this, and he basically just swept it under the carpet and said that it was, in his opinion, doxing, and he wouldn't allow it, and that's why he's not going to allow his account. Aside from that, he's really done a lot for free speech, and I can live with not knowing where his plane is, but that's the only issue that I've had with it.
Also, a piece from concept everything about how our brain separates fantasy from reality. How it lets us know what's real and what isn't. In light of our cooking aspect, we have a full piece about soap. It turns out they really do exist, the regular cartoons, and we can't really call them supernatural. They actually ain't normal. It's not well understood. There's a UFO story too. A new poll was conducted among academics across North America to see how many of them were too willing to study or investigate UFO creatures and UFO concepts. And the number who said yes, some as a surprise. The response to you about this poll, because it looks like most of those who were sent this survey didn't bother to respond at all. So the numbers may be a little skewed, but it's an interesting read. And I have to guess there has been some movement in the attitude of academics about UFOs because of events in the past 5.5 years. Those stories that you more can ask you while you're on the website, check out how to become a post insider. The cost is 15 cents a day. If you subscribe for a year, it gives you access to a vast archive of programs and interviews. You can listen anytime you want, as often as you want. It's a good deal. So too is your subscription to Beyond Belief, a George Morris television program where George interviews fascinating guests.
I understand what you're saying, Heather. I just think that he is making an exception for himself. He's not made that exception for any other public figures. He doesn't make that exception for you or me. And but I understand. I understand why he's doing it, but yeah, no, I do. They do it with college football coaches all the time. So they have college football coaches who are like flying on private planes from one location to another, perhaps to interview for another position, and this information is publicly available and tweeted about regularly. So it does happen, and there is no exception made for them. In my opinion, if Elon Musk wants that kind of protection, he should frankly lobby so that that becomes the doxing law. It's not currently the doxing law, and it seems like he's the only one who's protected by it.
It's loaded with 40 essential nutrients and made from real ingredients right here in the mix. Try nutrient survival today. I have your emergency food with every 10 minutes. Today, my listeners can say 15% off your entire order or get a free variety sampler with any purchase. Free shipping inside the continental U.S.
Generally, no. It's just it helps the college football fan base to know if their coach is going to be there the next year. And for the only people who are really here complaining about it are people who, like the college football fans, who hear these rumors that their coach is leaving. I don't necessarily hear that from the coaches themselves because I think they understand that they're public people. I think Elon Musk has just gotten to the point where he's so wealthy that he's able to buy the platform, and he can frankly ban anyone he wants. And on a private platform, you know, that's his right if he owns it. It just seems like it's rules for uh, for rules for thee, not for thee.
I've known Bert Gold for a long time. He's been on the show several times. Just text the word coach to 989898. Get a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation to educate yourself on how to diversify since it's highly volatile. With an A-plus rating with a better business deal, thousands of happy customers, and countless five-star reviews, you can trust First Gold to give you honest advice on protecting your savings with gold. Text COACH to 989898 and find peace of mind in gold. Welcome back. What do presidents know about UFOs? What are they told, if anything?
I was aware of some of that, and then also in the EU. I know the EU just kind of vaguely said to Twitter that they needed to crack down on some of the hate speech that is on Twitter. But that's just very, very vague. I mean, what is hate speech? Who defines that? So I'm not sure how much it's been, what kind of developments have been able to be made with that. But it does seem as if it's an interesting point in history where you basically have a private corporation that has the type of power that it doesn't necessarily have to do what these governments are saying, but if it wants to be used in the country, it does. So he is spending in this Georgia.
Good, thank you. I appreciate it. You, no joke, you've done more research in the presidents and UFOs than I think anyone in the world. But it's a simple question. What do they know? When did they learn it? Did presidents get a UFO briefing? So we've heard more in the last few years.
One thing that worries me a little bit in this interview I saw with this Rabbi lady, she said that it was very important for the platform to be able to continue to promote ad-friendly content, and I don't like that. I don't like that things have to be ad-friendly because that cuts down on what people can and can't say. And I like to hear both sides or whatever, and I don't necessarily always want things spoon-fed to me from the corporate media. So it'll be interesting. I think it's another 4 weeks until she fully takes over, and I'm sure it'll be some time, but she's going to be quite a famous person. She's not already.
People there and there's a camera and people yelling and screaming and it was like a pandemonium. And I remember just flying away from the cancer trail, so I was like, wow, like reading the Bible here, there's like some miracle you just saw. And then I'm thinking like, why is he calming that approach? There's nothing there.
I personally wanted Logan to take over as CEO, but I see that Elon Musk didn't respond to my DM requesting it. Logan, are you there?
Nobody wanted to talk about it. I eventually would track down people and they would tell me what they'd seen. So I put it together as a manuscript. And the local publisher who should have published it, because it was a big story, said, Mr. Cameron, you need to believe in this kind of stuff. Tell me your money, I believe. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that.
He's currently, I think, in discussions with English Swan. Thank you again, Heather, for the update, for the heads up on this. I figured he was just offering some kind of AI chatbot, but I wasn't privy that Indoor had died, and you enlightened us. Much appreciated.
I know for a fact that it was like out of this world. It didn't work. Somebody said no. So then I started to proceed. So there was a synchronicity of them. I thought it was a product of the government and somebody in his office pointed out to me. I had a UFO setting with a radar test. And he said, you know, I really want to know what's going on with UFOs. Did you see what the Canadian government did back in the 1950s? I said, really? He said, yeah, I worked for the program. You worked for the program? I said, I'm 1,500 miles away from Dallas. And I said, you work for the program? Yeah. He started telling me the story of Wilbur Stockhouse, who ran the UFO program. And he said, he's the most brilliant engineer, and that was totally crazy. Talking to aliens that are landing.
Heather, you're in the Chicagoland area. Are you a Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks, Cubs, fan? Guess what? I was born in South Bend, Indiana. That's serious. I was born in Memorial Hospital. How crazy is that? And you still won't follow me on Twitter. Of course. I lived in Penn District. Very nice. It is. Yeah, no, I definitely know Penn McKinsman.
documents to the Canadian by talking to the Canadian embassy in Washington. And they just brought a son on to come to the Canadian embassy and introduce Wilbur Smith. And that's the guy that gave most of the material. And so
I went to Chinese school, TRUMAN, if you're familiar with where that is, and then I went to University of Michigan.
radar, Russian, North Canada, to pick up Russian missiles, stuff like that. They actually very Pennsylvania, and that's where those got their boss. It was the former president of Penn University, chairman of the board of the Institute for Defense Analysis.
Definitely a big deal. So you live in Chicago now? Do you ever go back? Oh, I'm sorry that you passed away. How were things back in the Bend?
And I found out that he was child when he was in Pentagon. He was the assistant to the head of weapons research for the Pentagon. And there was a 1-year period that he was there.
Of course, wow. You were the first person, well, I shouldn't say, there was one person when I first moved back to California, this was like 6 years ago. The first person, I was in a hostel, like an Airbnb. First person I talked to in California basically was, I'm like, hey, I introduced myself, and this person is like, I'm like, well, from where are you? And they just dropped in the air. I'm like, no way. So when you said that, I was like, oh, that's crazy. What are you? Just saying it. I can imagine it's a ghost town. You're familiar with the permacloud, just like never-ending cloud that's basically over the sky from, I don't know, October until March. Yes, I have.
So that's when I asked the trip library, I said, well, what do you get on your boat? They said, well, you talked about the other one, 1952.
I agree. There's all kinds of insider information.
And they had all the programs. So I was taking stories about that. People think, please, don't shoot them down, leave them alone, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I know Dragon still. So that's pretty close to Mishawaka, right?
So then I said, well, I kind of like it down the road, maybe 2 hours down the road in Kansas, but I'll go there.
Very nice. Wow. It's a small world, right?
One was the famous top secret, the CIA ROTHSCHILD.
I agree.
Which has been
You enjoy Chicago more? Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's what I said to the archives. Because there you have to, every set of suit on.
I just
It's all very formal, and you got to do a review and do interviews before you can research there. And I said, you only look at 5 documents, and one was a telegram and one was contact and stuff. And then it's like, it takes really nothing. You have to take 20 minutes and look, 5 on your book. And that's when I said, something wrong there. Like it is. And I just determined to go to all of the departments and find out what the president had known. And basically, it would be a very, slow day because it's 4 days to the National Library. And within about 2.5 hours, I finished all the whole document. And for the rest of it, he's like sitting there reading oral history to different people and trying to find something to be interesting. I thought, this is reading those documents. That's when sort of puzzle
I taught for a little bit in Mishawaka schools. I never taught in Penn though. But they're very good schools. So did you find Penn was a good school?
3 months. I wanted to go to the CIA, get all the thorough briefings. So we figured there was about 15 or 16 briefings that would give it to the president, but they're all done orally. So in 1948, they already knew still put it on paper. It was all done orally. And that's what I believe is it's just like counting by the president. It's not counting on paper. And it's, I guess what Bill Clinton was called, this is sort of Secret Center, that he said he talked to Rockefeller. Roy Rockefeller was John Clinton. So Jeff Clinton got his ranch in Wyoming. And
Do you find you missed it at all?
and so this notary was there. And so then they're going to walk, and that's when Bill Clinton says to Rockefeller, he says, you have to wait for you. This story is about my car baby, and Rockefeller says, yeah, this is your car baby. I should this is a story about the car baby, so they kept the rabbit, he's the car baby, the Authorities again fought back at the side of the road, and get mad and punch the authorities, stuck with his hand, he with the other hand, he gets stuck, and his feet get stuck, and that's the good question. This is a subject that says in the authorities, and you don't have to, so I think that's what it is. So, when it went after the part of the Syria, I basically, my end conclusion was that he had made this promise to national priorities from the borders in 1976 when he was running, and he would ask from national priorities, you saw UFO, and did you really see UFO files? And I think it was statement saying that if I get in, I will release all the UFO files to the people, except for, unless it has to do with military secrecy. And that was a big step. So we made this promise, and then we got in. He didn't say it. He never used the word UFO.
I've always found it interesting. So I live in Southern California now, and like even on like Rogan's description of where he lives, he lives in Huntington Beach, which isn't technically Los Angeles, but he says Los Angeles. And if you live in like really like within I don't know 100 miles of basically any major city, a lot of times you can say I live in New York or I live in Miami or whatever. And it doesn't have to be 100 miles. No one from South Bend says this is Chicago. No one.
And he did a bunch of stuff that all done about his fingerprints. So that other people bring things for him. For example, Jody Powell. Jody Powell is the guy that forced the documents out of the FBI. He said that the FBI was under big pressure and not to be wrote the book. They were fixing how to save this release under Jimmy Carter. And he had the CIA that was destroying the CIA 14,000 pages. There was an FOIA that David an FOIA. Jimmy Carter talked to the Open Government and Sunshine Law and all that stuff and getting openness. And there was the brilliant story that a girl that was working down at the White House, a lawyer at the CIA, and they're hiding the documents. It was supposed to put 40,000 and then it started going 1,000. And she was fine, but they were just trying to gain, she got so frustrated with what was going on. She was there, and then the press, we covered a lot of ground there. I want to pass over some of that stuff, so we need to go to a break first. Bruce Ray just died, but he's still hanging in there. I think one might hope now might be a time for him to still some UFO thinking. We hope that happens. We're going to go to a break. Remember this performance we do with Mad Max Thunderdome being comfortable in a place.
I've never known anyone to be saved by their shot spotters. I've never known the police to be dispatched because of them. I know they're all over it. I mean, I think I've always, not always, but like since in the last 20 years, I think most of the cities in which I've lived have had them. In my opinion, they're just like hypersonic listening devices uh, that basically can spy on people. But I've never known any police to be dispatched because of that. Have you? Okay. Um, in my opinion, there's a Fourth Amendment issue with that, though, because they can also listen in on people's conversations. There's, you should have somewhat some privacy in that. They basically are just giant ears to the neighborhood. And at least you guys have known them to be used for dispatching purposes. I've only known of them for perhaps more nefarious reasons where they use it like listening devices of covert operations and also clandestine organizations.
A major pileup that had shut down the roadside freeway in York, Melinda, and then I had it getting cleared. 91 westbound coach and roads all lanes are now open.
Exactly. I've also so there's if you like I don't know if it's on every I'm sure it's not on every street light, but many street lights have cameras on them. I know the first place where I really started to see cameras like being used widespread is London, and then from there, at least in the United States, I know New York did it, but Chicago would do it, and I think that's going to become the norm. Basically, at every intersection, there's just a bunch of cameras there, or and so in addition to having the shot spotter that can hear everything that's going on, you have like this eye in the sky that's always there, which is very big brother to me. It's very, very concerning.
How professionals replace your old shopping as little as a day. You save thousands on a shallow replacement and turn your ugly back into something you can be proud of. For a limited time, 0% interest and zero payments for 18 months. Call 888-675-2885 or visit AmericanVisionMax.com. All offers to website to be tested.
Oh, so there's red light cameras, but then they have these other types of cameras that are just there to spy on the people, basically, in the section. Um, they, they have those as well. So let's talk about the three kinds of cameras each I've seen. So they have kinds that is just like this little ball that's on the street light, on like every single street light, and no one talks about those. And I don't know what organization has access to them, but like the CIA or the FBI, somebody's got access to it. Then you've got the red light cameras, which is exactly what you're talking about, which yes, are definitely should be taken away. They cause more accidents than they save. The red light cameras, yeah, people dispute the tickets. And then I've seen these ones in Chicago that are this, it's like a blue light over an intersection that it just has cameras all over it and basically just watches. But those are not red light cameras. They just watch the people basically. Very, very big brotherish in my opinion.
Knowing you'll never miss your favorite guest or topic ever again. Remember, a one-year subscription comes out to only 15 cents a day. Sign up today at justdosam.com.
Perhaps I don't know if they're really stopping anything though. I mean, it seems like it's just gotten worse. So I had cousins in Chicago, and this is always an interesting thing to me. So at least when I was a kid growing up in South Bend, if we saw a police officer, we'd wave to them and they'd wave back. And it was very, like, this is in the 90s, and, definitely things have changed. But I remember once doing this in Chicago with my cousin. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, what, don't you wave at your police? And he's like, absolutely not. What are you doing? Like, it was just bizarre to him that I would do something like that. And it just really made me realize that, it's probably a more innocent time when I grew up there. But yeah, I mean, it was like the people versus the police when you got to Chicago, and it's still somewhat that way, I think. You're exactly right. I've seen these things for the red light cameras that I think are interesting. So they have like multiple ways, especially out here in California. People have these like really high end cars, and they have the money to be able to like avoid red light cameras. So firstly, um, they have been enacted in a lot of cities, and a lot of cities have rescinded them because uh, statistics show that it causes more accidents because people slam on their brakes and then you get rear-end accidents. But some things that people have done, they have these license plate flippers. So basically, it's a button that you can press on your vehicle that flips your license plate so that those things don't work. There's also a spray that you can put on your license plate that like makes it very reflective so that those cameras don't work. I think, and then also people just get pissed at them and climb up on them and spray paint the actual camera. So, like whenever they were being used, they were half the time inoperable because they had black spray paint all over them. And I've seen those actually being taken away much more, uh, and I'm glad to see it because it makes interception much more dangerous. But my concern is still just having these public cameras everywhere. I'm fine with it, honestly, if the people get to watch it as well. If you have like a live stream and you could just watch what was going on, I'm much more okay with that. But when it's kind of, behind closed doors and behind closed, behind, it's inaccessible to the public, you don't know for what this, the footage is being used, and that's concerning to me as a citizen.
Never worry about dropped calls because Consumer Cellular has your faster coverage with the major carriers. In coverage with Consumer Cellular, you can save up to $250 a year. Go to consumercellular.com/Lori and for a limited time get 25 off your wireless bill when you use.
I have seen those, and I think those also help when a police officer is like checking your speed with that gun. It makes it so that it's not reflected. Usually they shoot for your license plate because that's the most reflective thing on your car. But if you use one of those covers, like you're talking about that has a little tint over it, it doesn't reflect this thing. You're absolutely right. Sorry about that. When they shoot the license plate, that's usually what they shoot because it's the most reflective thing on your car. Those covers don't reflect back as easily, and it doesn't allow them to check your speed as well. Some states even make it illegal to have those covers. Uh, One thing that I find interesting, some states you have to have a plate on your front and your back. Other states you don't, which to me I would think would be pretty standardized throughout the United States, but it is not. That's probably it.
Frank Cameron, as we know, Jimmy Carter is in hospice care. He's been in hospice care for 3 months. He's on his way out. There's no question about it. I got a feeling, though, you maybe have sent your book to the publisher, and you something that you can probably produce.
If you graduated in 2008, I'm not going to go through all the people I know for this time, but I'm sure we know people similar, or it's not a big town. Like what you were saying, I find it's true. Yeah, we have crime, or we had crime when I was there, and certainly it still continues. But there's still a heartland aspect of it. People are generally, I find, pretty good-hearted there. Um, I don't know exactly why, but it seems like it's a little bastion of sanctity. When you go further east, or I'm sorry, further west, as you get into Gary, East Chicago, Southeast Chicago, and it just becomes a lot different. But at least when we grew up, and especially you growing up in the 10 district, it couldn't have been all bad. It sounds like you were the one causing all the trouble. I'm kidding. To have the CD stolen is not cool.
My impression was the president. No, I think basically all the presidents know what they want to know. I reviewed the files from the Johnson administration, which is another book that I probably will document. So the Carter book, I'm just documenting his material before I set my files away. And the Johnson, I've got the actual report back because what he was told, he was on a report, all this kind of stuff. And Obama has talked about it. Bill Clinton talked about it. And it was kind of down to what Jim Kennedy said. It does not appear to be any there. It's this idea that, yes, UFOs exist. Nobody's denying UFOs exist. Beyond that, it's like the core story, the story about ballet and put off.
I'm in agreement with Liz here. Did she get in any trouble?
We know we have hardware and bodies and stuff, so we haven't really been able to back into this stuff. It's the idea
Definitely unfortunate, and definitely not fair.
Yes, UFOs exist, but we really don't know anything beyond that. And that's what I think it comes down to. Jimmy Carter, community, yes, real, but in terms of answers, you even say, you go here over and over again, that we really, it gets more complex as we go along. I think you would agree that, 1989, when you guys called, it seemed very simple story, and the more you phenomenal people report sort of realize pretty as simple as I thought it was going to be. It gets more and more complex as you go along. So the idea that I have is that the president does know, but there's really not much they can really tell him other than the fact that people are working on it. I think people have overestimated.
I think you mean more delegated.
Yeah, I'm still in the same place. In addition to, no matter how far up the food chain I've gone, and it's been pretty high.
I think you mean more the fact, well, at least as I understand it, you were so close to the end of your period before you were done that they weren't going to make such an issue that they wouldn't let you graduate. Perhaps so. There we go. So perhaps if it had happened earlier, they may have expelled you. Is that correct? Okay.
As you said, it's not really simple. Like, there's another planet coming here, check us out now and then. It's way more complicated than that. And it involves a lot of the phenomena that's just too weird. As we both know, it's the different groups from what are talking to UFO people, Bigfoot people, ghost hunters, and all these things, right? Yeah. But I think some people know, like, for example, you get, like that, people like that who go to the ranch and realize that there's this stuff. I used to close inside trailers. I have a woman, a big work the other night, and a whole bunch of stuff and say, and they're looking at that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think you totally insane to think that military intelligence is interested in how to put a bullet inside a trailer. It's the slide knife, the stuff that's going through walls. So when you take a look at it, I always go back to Jim Semidan. Jim Semidan.
I always find it interesting. Like, to me, you don't have a southern accent, and generally, I don't have a southern accent either. But if you go south with the bypass, it's like basically getting to Marshall County and such. People have a southern accent. You know what I mean?
You realize that may be what it's about. If you kind of figure it out, you realize that there's all these weird things that are connected, and it's all going to have to do with the conscious system that the millions were told already back in the 50s. And it's like in terms of the problem that it's very deep-seated, and there's only a couple of people in even this country. Yeah, so it's really hard to have a UFO experience. You take a deep dive into that because there are, as you document, there are different reported groups when this thing happens.
I mean, I can hear it a little bit, but it's not overly, like, I think it's from the South, so to speak. But I could see definitely living in the South for a certain number of years, you definitely could pick it up.
That was really the main source of why you became interested and why you're talking about it on the campaign, right? Yeah, here's the thing you get through. I went to the Canada Library to get stuff, and actually met the guy at the Canada Library who was the archivist, who they use to sign archives to you, and you make your request for this. And he was actually very interested in the host.
This doesn't happen with your microphone.
And he, the first guy that brought up something else to say that, and people get to talk to you. We can send you reports and people say, he was governor of the state. He was governor when he took the sighting reporting. But the sighting supposedly took place in Gary, Georgia, at a Lions Club in 1969. But then when I talked to the archivist, he said, it's not right. He said, it's not earlier than that. He said, I was in college with Dick Carter, and Dick Carter told me that story. We were out of college in 1969. But he's saying that the date is
Lizard, I see your PC gamer. What are your favorite games?
So it comes down to the fact that these object is very spectacular. There's, I think, about 10 witnesses with him, and one of them was actually tracked down. I think there was a documentary film crew in Georgia that actually documentary on it as the second witness.
Very cool. They have really big communities.
Spectacular, it's large, different colors and stuff like that came in, moved away. But all he ever admitted was that yes, it was very spectacular. It wasn't humorous, but it wasn't, funny or anything like that. He sort of discounted everything. But in terms of what it was, he always would maintain the same thing. He actually said, it's a UFO, but I don't really believe. And that's sort of like going to sort of a left, right? Trying to, be respectable.
Logan, are you there?
It's like he likes get the Nobel Prize for Middle East peace, but when it comes to UFOs, then no president wants to stuck with it. And now it's 1990 and 2017. Now it's because everyone talks about it. It's cool to talk about now. But before that, it's right. It's like you just put your career on the line by doing it. And if you're the president that doesn't want to do that, go down that road. So he really didn't want to talk about it. In fact, he actually made the comment twice. He made it once in his term with the National Forest. He was on campaign trail in 76 in Wisconsin, and he also made that claim in 76 that it's a UFO, and I can believe that UFOs exist, and I'm going to get all the material. And this group actually went. He promised to be used as a group once he got into the White House. He got to the White House, he was like, shut the door. And I produced the correspondence to this group trying to get a meeting with the president. And then the president did meet at the time too, and he basically shut the door on the whole issue. So it was something I think that if he were to do it again, I don't think Carter would report it. I think it's haunted in his whole life. He knows he's the UFO president.
I am.
But I think he regrets having done it. There's been many times, and even Fox has talked about. You want to talk about Fox?
How about you, Lizard? What's your background?
Where he has his father in a wheelchair and flown the lockdown, Charlie from the Carter's thing, and then he got Carter to be a vote. That's the Carter did the same thing. Because, there's no possibilities, but there's many explanations. It's just like idea of, so where I thought UFO, so really, it's not here.
Oh, I definitely think I've touched, at least my religiously, I consider myself postmodern Orthodox. And what does that mean? Basically, I'm someone who thinks that we're moving as a world towards something called monism, MONISM, which is like a one world religion. And basically, the current doctrines that we have will be seen in the future as just like family traditions, perhaps, that we had. So I'm not as strict on some things as I think other people may be. Those are generally my thoughts on the matter, but at least being informed, I enjoy it.
UFO right by the outhouse at Thursday, the daytime motorhouse. And there was a bunch of witnesses who could report the same thing very close. So that's when I remember I went to the art foundation and discussed that story. And we found the photograph. Actually, we did a photograph. It's a real
I think so. I think probably in the next 10 years we may see a one world government if Project Bluebeam comes to fruition.
The rumor that floats around when you address it in your book is that Carter was never such a country guy and farmer who was probably fooled by the UFO pictures and secrets. You had a different idea about it, though. It might have been.
I thought the same until I saw some of this augmented reality technology and also holographic technology. And basically, they can make things look so realistic over a city that they can easily take an alien invasion and basically say to everyone, all right, the United Nations is now in control. I mean, in a lot of ways, the United Nations is in control. We just don't necessarily recognize it because we still like to have our individual country sovereignty, but many policies are pushed by the UN and our countries abide by them. That's correct. It was Ronald Reagan who put that.
He was very against drinking and smoking, and the secretary would be across the street, at the back of the restaurant trying to, have a cigarette or a drink, and they were all afraid they're going to get fired. He was a real aggressive kind of guy. And the story, I go through the story in there. I talk about the one with the very controversial story about he asked for the UFO files from George Bush Sr. The way it works is like in the street, the Ford administration versus the CIA director. So
it's something that's been discussed amongst the president. Well, I'm trying to think. It's actually as we speak, I'm listening to something on the radio. So Jimmy Carter was the first president to discuss actually having seen a UFO, and so that happened before he was elected president. When he was elected president and took office from 76 to 80, basically, he never discussed the issue, but he discussed it after. There's something like either when you're briefed by the CIA, and the person who's briefed him was George Herbert Walker Bush, who would later become president as well. basically, I think they say to you, you cannot discuss this due to national security. Ronald Reagan discussed it in that speech. To my knowledge, George Herbert Walker Bush never discussed it. To my knowledge, Bill Clinton never publicly discussed it. George W. Bush never publicly discussed it. Barack Obama um, joked about it on like Jimmy Kimmel, but that wasn't really anything that was like, uh, I would say, serious. Uh, Donald Trump, to my knowledge, didn't just, well, I mean, really, he didn't discuss it in such a way that I really would have thought it was disclosure. And then Joe Biden hasn't discussed it. Does this seem like an accurate timeline to you?
That's very low level. That would be like trading files, scientific files, things like that. But you started it out so far, and when you get hit, you can actually whatever you want.
I'm 100% in agreement with you on that one. I think either they didn't share this information with him or didn't want to be seen as somewhat whirly on this, but I would have thought the same thing. If anybody who would have gone against the grain and had some kind of disclosure, I would have thought it would have been Trump, but there was absolutely nothing about it.
But yes, you oppose it, we haven't got to go beyond that. You know that it's hard, where so we really know what's going on. And then he said,
agreed, and absolutely nothing. And especially with him running again, you would think that he might want to garner some support with ufology. I mean, he's trying to get as much support as possible, but even still, there's nothing about it.
And the thing I bring up in the book, it was interesting what kind of stuff that he said the most spectacular thing we've seen was the remote viewing thing. There's not just in UFOs yet seen this thing with the remote viewing where they find the Russian plane. You hear Tom Carter tell the story. It's absolutely nothing for us to listen to.
Either one could be. It's been, at least in discussion since the Truman administration. Even before then, but Truman's really the one that kind of made it. It would have been like Roswell and such during his administration. Like, and then there's of course the Eisenhower's meeting in 1954. Allegedly, like I've done everything I can to look up information on this one. Okay, so you had President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was like one helped to win World War II, especially in Europe. He takes over as president after Harry Truman, and allegedly in 1954 there was a meeting at Edwards Air Force Base here in California where there was some kind of exchange, knowledge exchange between the alien race and humans, and we got a bunch of technology from them. And in exchange, we signed some kind of galactic agreement that said that they could continue, these aliens could continue to do the abduction program. And so a lot of people think, in addition to what we got from the crash at Corona or Roswell, and we were able to reverse engineer a lot of that technology, we got many of the pieces of technology that would later become uh, trans, transformative in today's society, like the computer, like the computer, but um, the transistor and perhaps night vision. I mean, I've even heard that night vision came from reverse engineering the eyelid of an alien. I don't know how true that is, but apparently, like at least from what I understand, one of the presidents actually was like face to face with these beings, which is fascinating to me.
I wanted to come back. We could talk about that relationship, whether that was a factor in Carter getting so involved about UFOs, whether it was because he was viewed as anti-Pentagon, anti-intelligence community.
Well, I don't know if you really have a choice when you have such a powerful entity. I mean, if you say no, then they're just going to do it anyway. So at least try to get something out of the exchange. I think personally, I would have tried to brace the world for it and announce what was going on. I'm just generally a nice person or an honest person, and I wouldn't want to live this national security type of life that we've had to live since then. but I guess you would have to do what the aliens would want, and I imagine that's what they wanted, which is to be able to continue this abduction program. What would you have done? It's a great question. Yeah, and there's something to that they're not even like, at least from what I understand, and I mean, the, I don't know for a fact, but they're not even, they're like the robots of the alien world, that they don't even necessarily, like, they're not the ones in power. There's some kind, like maybe it's the tall grays that use the gray, I'm sorry, the tall whites that use the grays as their like robots or whatever, but um,
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, I'm going to help you. So we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively.
it's a great question. Well, I know when I first was interested in the topic, I would ask rabbis, and really, at the time I was in a very Orthodox Chabad synagogue, and I was told that there's only what is here on earth, and not to peer into what might be in the stars. That all of that will be answered basically when Mashiach comes or when the Messiah comes. And so I know it's a lot more earth-based. However, so that's what the rabbis say. But when you talk to the people are much more open-minded about the topic, just like you and I are. And I mean, as a Jew, I would say that one of the things that we are taught is to always be questioning. And so when I talk to the people in the congregation, they're much more open-minded to it. I really think that the rabbis are somewhat open-minded to it too. They just can't publicly be that way because they will be seen as nuts by their colleagues. I know one time there's a famous documentary called the Top Secret KGB UFO Files, and I was um, there was one part of it where you see a UFO in front of a plane, in front of like an F-16, and I took this video and showed it to a rabbi, and it was like he knew what I was showing him wasn't fake, that it was real, but he didn't have an answer for it, and that's why he said there's only God and what we have here on earth. But I could tell he was just kind of feeding me a line because he's a very inquisitive person himself. So I think that it's kind of a political, it's kind of political. It would be similar if you were to go to a politician and say, hey, what do you think about, if I showed a politician the exact same thing, they're going to say, oh, there's only what we have here on Earth. Of course, the science is settled and we know what's going on. But in the back of their mind, there's a lot more that they want to tell you, but they're just a public person and can't necessarily divulge what their personal feelings are. Does that make sense?
A new study by Shark Lab at Cal State Long Beach says there are more sharks in our waters than we think. If this study comes out later this week, they expect shark attack numbers will go down with the new data. Right now, they say you are a 1 in 2.75 million
That's
whales
the
are
point.
being bitten by a shark. President Biden is confirming that a bipartisan debt ceiling agreement has been reached. He must pass
Agreed.
both the House and Senate before reaching Biden's desk for his signature. The House is expected to vote on the legislation Wednesday. Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes expected to start serving her
Would it be
election
possible for
sentence
you to
on
repeat that, please?
Tuesday. She'll serve her time at the Bryant Texas prison. Fort Bragg was named after a Confederate general 105 years ago. This week, he'll be renamed as Fort Liberty, part of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2021, renamed
I think that we're in what's called slow disclosure, so that there perhaps will never be a day where you have the president or a prime minister who says, yes, aliens have landed, or they've been here since 1937. I think that it is just that slow disclosure that you get little bits and pieces of what's going on. And perhaps you may have celebrities and people who start to speak out about it or to discuss things, but again, it's slow disclosure. I'm somewhat like how you are, that I don't know if there'll ever be a day, or maybe it's a long time from now, where someone makes an announcement. But you're right, there's a lot of money that's involved here, particularly in the in like new types of science. They're only hypothetical types of science at this point, but perhaps like anti-gravity. The idea of anti-gravity alone, let's just take that one, would absolutely revolutionize the way wars are fought. Because if you can control gravity, you can create force fields, you can create levitating um, types of vehicles, and that changes a lot of things. I mean, it would change so many things on Earth that to actually recognize that it's a thing would definitely disrupt the current powers that be. And I think we're in agreement on that. That's why they don't allow anything further to get out about it, even though they allow people to discuss it. And in my opinion, it's almost like an open secret that people know about it. You just can't watch it on television. That's what people want. They want someone empowered to discuss it on television or on video or on some kind of platform, and they don't. And that's what's really frustrating. But if you talk amongst the UFO community, the issue is settled. What are your thoughts on that? I'm in agreement with you, and you know, it's still it's kind of one of those questions out there that they can use, like the powers that be, can use to discredit people. Like, you've heard it, I'm sure, as well, but they'll say, oh, it's like you believe that, the earth is flat and that there are little green men out there. And it's like they just use this in a like casual way to make people who believe or actually like have a lot of research done in the field to just discredit people. And I think it's unfortunate because the science isn't settled on ufology, and in fact, it's quite an open matter. But if you if you're the one who has access to all that technology and you don't want other people to know about it, then whenever anybody brings up the issue, you just basically say that that's been debunked and laugh at them, and it becomes a joke, and that's what they do. Agreed. And then there's the question that people would raise: for how long have you known about this? And it would be like, oh, for I don't know, like at least 80 years or so. I mean, even more than that, but let's just say they said that, would be like, well, wait a second. Why haven't you been sharing this information with the world? And it's like, oh, then they have to get into a matter of national security and all these other things. But basically, they'd be past repercussions. People would perhaps, I mean, I know I would want to put people on trial. I think if they came out and said, hey, there are aliens and stuff, people would be very satisfied with that and perhaps would say, look, we're not going to prosecute people for keeping this a secret in the past, but there will definitely be people who would say, I I want people to be prosecuted over this. I know what one quote of George Herbert Walker Bush. This is George Bush, Bush number 41, who was president from like 1980 to 92. He said if the American people knew what we had done to this country, they would hang us by our necks by morning. Basically, there's been a lot of secrets that these guys have kept behind closed doors, and if they actually allowed that information to get out to the general public, people would want to take vengeance on them, and so they just absolutely will not let this get out under any conditions. I'm in agreement with you on that one. That opens up a very good topic. So I feel as if, I mean, you hear all these people who are say they'll never commit suicide, and then like the next day they commit suicide, and then there are no inquiries into these deaths. And I don't know how it is in the UK, but at least in the United States, and this is a surprise to me, you don't have to be a doctor to be a coroner. You just have to be elected. So you literally could be anybody, and it's someone the head of forensics in your little community. And all they have to do is make sure that that person is bought and paid for, and you can kill anyone basically, and have absolutely no repercussions because of it. Because you know that the person who is going to conduct the autopsy, the coroner, generally is in your back pocket. So they'll say anything is a suicide, and it's like sometimes these people have multiple gunshot wounds to the back of the head, which is just generally impossible to have with a suicide. Yet it still is ruled as suicide. It's really, really unfortunate. And there's a very famous case, Gary Webb. He wrote for the San Jose Mercury, and he um, basically blew some of the whistle on the crack cocaine epidemic. And when he started writing for the San Jose Mercury, uh, it started to make waves, and the CIA didn't like it. And basically, he was found dead one day with two gunshot wounds to the back of the head, and it was ruled a suicide. And to this day, it's ruled a suicide. And it's like, no, that's impossible. Like that can't happen. But then, if you want to raise any questions to this, it's like, okay, so you're saying that there's some massive, organization that's behind all of this? Like, yeah, you are. You are saying that, but then you have to dig into all of that, and they're never going to have a trial for that. It would just have been a hitman who would have killed him, perhaps. And so, in order for these things to be really organized and easy to be swept under the rug, they just say, "Oh, it was a suicide," and that's done. There are no trials. There's no evidence that's ever brought up in these things, and it's like, "Oh, well, they just had mental issues." And I'm really sick of that kind of response that we get out of our elected officials and media, that where they say, "Oh, someone just had mental issues." People have um, spoken out and said, "Look, I will never commit suicide. It's something that I won't do." They've done it on camera. They've done it on some kind of recorded device, and then all of a sudden they end up doing it, and nobody raises any questions to that. It's really unfortunate. In fact, I can't think of a single case in the United States. I'm sure it's happened, but where something has been ruled a suicide, and then they actually dug into it more to actually see if it was a murder or not. It just doesn't happen. Once they say it's a suicide, it's like, oh well, we're all done from here, and they have a funeral and it's done. I think it's far too neat, and I really wish that people wouldn't take it. But we're so, I would say, I don't want to just say brainwashed, but powerless in the situation that we just have to.
For affordable termite insurance, call 800-770-0850. 800-770-0850. And let's talk about George Bush Sr., who was head of the CIA.
Even one of the CIA heads, I remember James Peter Anderson, but I could be wrong on that, was found to have jumped out of the window of like the naval hospital in Washington, or like in Maryland, and that was ruled a suicide. It's like they'll even suicide their own guys, and there's no way to investigate these things. I mean, it's really unfortunate. I find this happens not just in with like researchers, but sometimes with like gunmen. That it's all very neat. But I really think the reason why they do it is because they don't want a trial. Because evidence comes up in trial, you have witnesses in trial, and that's just not something that they want. It's much easier for them to just basically off you, and no one raises any questions. A little snippet on the news, and then that's it. There's nothing more to it, and then everybody goes about their lives because we're all so busy doing everything else. And only maybe decades later will people investigate what actually happened and say, hey, maybe this person didn't do it themselves. But in today's day and age, I think that's the way that they want people. Um, when I think about if it's ruled a suicide, well, there's no questioning that. I agree. In my opinion, Epstein's still alive. I mean, that's just, I'm a lot entitled in my opinion, but if you look at the body that they used, that they said that its ears didn't match, it goes back to our original, earlier conversation where, like the ear had a lobe and like the ears had lobes and the ear on the guy, it didn't even look like it in my opinion. But here's what they do. They come out with these memes saying Epstein didn't kill himself. So then people think, oh, well, someone else killed him. Not necessarily. Nobody ever says that he still could be alive in Israel or in Antigua or in some kind of other place. No one knows what happened to him, but they basically create this story that, okay, if you don't think he killed himself, well, then who killed him? It's like, I'm not assuming that he did kill himself. I'm not assuming that he's even dead. But yet you can't raise that question. If you raise that question, you have no one with whom to discuss it because you'll be seen as a loon.
That was the part that I always wondered about. It goes back to the 1980s. You were involved in it. Is this thing where he stopped them producing? In fact, that's how he came here to walk the TRLS.
You're absolutely right on that. Well, Adolf Hitler is a very similar one as well. And his whole life in Argentina and Paraguay and stuff. And I mean, that definitely could have happened. But with the Bin Laden one, that one's a joke. That he's the most wanted man in the entire world for a decade. And you're going to shoot this guy and then have him buried at sea and no one's going to see any pictures of him? I mean, it's just ridiculous that you wouldn't say, hey, of any person that we need to come out of this, where the word coalition was, of any person that we need to preserve their life for a trial, it's Osama bin Laden. So whatever you do, SEAL Team 6 or whatever, when you go into his little apartment or whatever, don't kill him. Like, in fact, I would have just even said, we don't even get guns to go in. We want him alive so much because we want him to stand trial. That's what a rational person would say. But no, it was all too, well done. Too easy to do. And there was something about this too. When he was killed, it was like, I want to say that it was like late April when they announced it, and then it was the royal wedding that started right in May, and so like nobody got to like have any discussions about it, and it was a big distraction. And then the way they buried him, that they tossed his body off of an aircraft carrier because they didn't want it to be like a place where like people would go to mourn, was even more of a joke to me. Of anything, if you killed him, that's cool. Sorry you didn't get him out alive. But show his body to the world. They didn't even do that.
Because if you know the story, Al Burrock and this was big time into what we're trying to get with the Hall of Airport system. And this is a story that we've got the late tells the story that Eric Lewis has phoned up Bush Sr. looking for to see whether the whole Everett system was real. And he said to him, did you get there? Did you see the film? And Bush said, yeah, I saw it. I didn't see it in my presidential briefing. I saw it as the I director. And there's all the stories about this rumored landing at home and effort to the aliens get out. He put the saucer in a hangar and all that sort of stuff.
Maybe Logan is suicidal. I'm the first to say I don't believe it if that's what happened.
And just film this going to the president. I thought it was things just because I talked about 15 minutes.
Logan, can you hear us?
Maybe there was a reason. Maybe they followed, and I appreciate stuff. And so when Eric Davis asked Brooks about it, he said there was always counterfeit. He was a flame runner that I knew 12. It was camera lenses. It was a counterintelligence. It was a training. So all these things to say, no, it wasn't a UFO film or a UFO land. It was just all this other stuff. Because here's the picture now, and Brooks said to Eric Davis.
Well, first and foremost, I stream my life all day, every day, and I've been doing so for almost 2 years now. I'll celebrate 2 years on June 6th, approximately. So that's more data than any person's ever put on the internet, which I feel is quite interesting. It's like a time capsule of what society is. Since the end of the pandemic, we've seen the death of a queen, the birth of AI, the coronation of a king, and everything in between. So, I mean, really, that takes up the far majority of my time is live streaming my life. When I'm not doing this, actually, the way that I started doing it was golfing. I like to golf, and I was at Tiger Woods' golf course in Orange County here, and I would hit golf balls on the practice range, and I noticed some of the things that I was saying were pretty funny, at least to me, and I thought maybe in the future my family might want to see this. If I ever have a wife or children, they'd want to see what the dear old dad is like and perhaps have some of this footage. So I started just archiving that footage and then realized that, one day as I was doing this, I might want to continue. And so I started up a YouTube channel and then I started up 6 of them. So I would say definitely before I would stream my life, I'm an avid golfer. I really like technology. So studying like technology futurism. I like esoterica as well. I'm a Freemason, so that took up a lot of my time as well, doing that. I'm also a Shriner, which takes up time, but I'm a member of some of these community groups. Additionally, I just like being, I like politics and things, but I like being, I like, I like I like debate, I guess. I like hearing different sides of an issue and making up my mind on that. And I like to research things. And ufology is definitely one of those topics. So I definitely have ufology as an interest and a hobby. How about you?
He was actually gone on camera and said, yes, I saw the film, and there was a girl on it, and they landed, and the whole bit. This was going to bring her in, and 2 weeks before they were going to bring her to Las Vegas, he got a good role in the film. And so it's really, that was the thing that interested me was this 15-minute color film. But he was curious, maybe there was something that happened. There was this thing, but it's really helped. The UFO thing, whether it's here or it's the president, it's all in the reality. The more you look at it, the more confusing it gets, and you just end up with yeah, there's a lot of stuff happened in those COVID years, despite him not loading up those bombs. That's wild. We did make those moves. We tried to make progress, and there was some pretty good minutes before you. There was information act, and certainly outcomes.
Certainly. So I'm a Master Mason, which is the highest level within the Blue Lodge. Essentially, it is not, well, this is what they said. It is not a secret society. It is a society of secrets. It's the oldest fraternal organization in existence. Goes back to 1717, but even before then, um, there are discussions that it even goes back to the creators of the pyramids. And
Dramatic statements about UFOs being overtaken in the Vietnam War. YouTube says the United Nations condemned this guy's own donation. I know this is
certainly, so really the way that, like the history of it, you had basically Egyptian mystery schools of how to build things. There were religious aspects of it too, but it was how to build a pyramid or how to build a structure in a way that it didn't fall. And these were like architectural techniques that weren't taught to the entire community. It was just taught to a certain segment of the community. Of course, that continued in kind of undercover to some extent in Rome, and then after the fall of Rome, and then it really got big into the guilds. So when they were building the cathedrals in Europe, you would have like like let's just take the Cathedral of Notre Dame. You just can't build that if you are um, a novice, and so there's some kind of architectural knowledge that you needed to have, and eventually that knowledge was passed into guilds, and there'd be trades, and you'd have apprentices, and eventually you become a master craftsman, and you'd be able to design these things and these cathedrals and other types of buildings. But that knowledge was seen as important to the the wealthy individuals of the society as well, and so um, some I would say uh, some leeway was made so that more influential people could join these guilds, which eventually became Freemasonry. And then it's no longer as much architecture related, so there's a lot of architecture in it, but it's more now like a civic organization. It is, some people say, oh, did Freemasons rule the world? Most Freemasons will say no, of course not, and I'll say the guys who I know in Freemasonry don't. But I will say that it is, and whenever you have any kind of secret society, things can go on that are outside of the public view. And I would say that it definitely has a lot of influential people who have been members of it. And but if you go to your local Freemasonic lodge, it's just going to be a bunch of old guys generally who are retired, who um, may be somewhat powerful people in your city, but the things that they discuss are golfing from their grandkids and, kind of like more basic things. So that isn't to say that if they aren't the top echelons of society where you are made a member. And essentially, it is something that if you are a man over age 18 and you believe in some kind of creator, you don't have to believe in God, but you just have to believe in some kind of creator. Um, you're seen as someone who's not insane. There's some other things, and it depends on the state. You can join. Is it um, the best thing in the world? No, it's a lot of work, and it's kind of boring, honestly. But it is it's a nice civic organization. If you're interested, I'm sure there are probably local lodges. One thing we don't do is we don't recruit. So if you're there's a saying within masonry, to be one is to ask. So if you're ever interested, just ask the mason, uh, your local mason. But one thing that it doesn't have is women. And I know as someone who at least likes women and wants to be an advocate for them, I was always somewhat disappointed with this. That why aren't women involved? And it really comes down to if you have a group of people and you have of both genders, those genders are going to date. They're going to mix. And what ends up happening is you'll have people who will marry and get divorced, and it can cause a lot of dissension within the lodge. So there are women organizations that are very related to Freemasons. They're not the same, but it's known as the Rite of the Eastern Star. So there are women's organizations that you can join that are like brotherly, sisterly organizations. But overall, I would say it's an enlightening process. You learn a lot about geometry and sacred geometry, if that's of interest to you. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things that it's an interesting part of society that I always had interest in. The way that I joined, I didn't know any Masons, and so what I did, but I always had to like was hear about them and how powerful they were and things. And so one day I just wrote a letter and put it on a lodge door, and um, a member of the lodge contacted me, and they say the rest is history basically. But not a lot is known about what goes on inside the lodge. I can tell you this though, it isn't, at least in the lower levels, as nefarious as it may sound.
With people of older guys, with UFO experiences, with this weird aspect. You seem to say that all this paranormal stuff, all the reasons the same thing. It's all this sort of higher level consciousness, almost like the transcendent aspect. That's what you do with consciousness at a beyond our scientific understanding of the water. And then the
Yeah, so that was one of the major reasons why I joined. Is I would see different like shapes in even like corporate signs or ancient signs, whether it's the circle, the square, the like the hexagon, and I was always interested in like why were those chosen, what were their meanings, how were they made, and so yeah, you learn some of the histories of those things, or like certain patterns. Like I would notice like checkerboard patterns, and I would be like, well, why is that used on that floor? Or like I would see like a coronation of the king, or anything really like royal related. It all had a certain type of order, and I was really interested in that order. Additionally, at least in the United States, some really prominent presidents were Freemasons, including like George Washington and, and non-presidents as well, Ben Franklin. And it was interesting to me that, like, why would these guys want to be a part of this organization? What is it? And it's really, as you as you learn about Freemasonry, you learn about the different patterns and why they use, and they all have some different meanings. Um, I can't disclose them. I mean, it's nothing though. I would say that you can't look up on the internet. So, um, if you ever want to know, like, and this is especially for the girls out there who aren't allowed to be Freemasons, there's a wonderful documentary. It's by a man named William Chauvinfeld. Um, it's something like that. It's his name. All you have to put into Google is the truth behind Freemasonry. And this guy was a former Freemason, though that's not really his thing. Once you're a Mason, you're always a Mason. But he he um, he tells you all the secrets about what Freemasonry is, what the secret distress calls are, and so like at least I'll quote some of the things that he says. Now this was never said to me in live, so I can say if it's true, perhaps it is, but or maybe perhaps it was something more of the past. But like if one thing is you at least this is what he says. If you're ever before a judge who is also a Freemason, there are some hand, hand symbols you can do, but also some words that you can use to trigger that person so that they know that you're a Mason and they're supposed to find you not guilty or whatever. You're supposed to win the case. There are some things that you can do with police officers, supposedly, to be able to get out of traffic tickets. Have these ever been used? Have I ever used these? No. Do I think that they would work in today's day and age? Likely no. But there's always that potential. So those are some interesting aspects. But it's called right, the truth behind Freemasonry. If you just put that in there, it's like a 4 hour documentary, and he will teach you everything that you'll learn. In fact, you learn more in that. I will tell you this: I learned more in that 4 hour documentary than I ever learned in Lodge. And I mean, I went to Lodge every single day for years, or every single week for years, and you'll learn a lot from that if you're ever interested in some of that stuff. And it includes a lot of the sacred geometry.
State Farm Insurance says they will no longer offer property insurance for new homes in California. It's too expensive to do business here. After destruction and wildfire are the two reasons they're leaving. If you're trying to plan your return trip home, AAA says be on the road before 10 a.m. for fast traffic today. Worst traffic is usually in 3. And President Biden says the debt ceiling agreement has been reached. It must pass the House and Senate before returning for Biden.
Yeah, so it's very it's very, I would say a lot of architects are Freemasons just because a lot of that secret knowledge comes from uh, ancient architects and has been passed down. I am going to um, put in the chat this documentary just because I want everybody to have an opportunity to see it. And so if you are interested, it is 4 hours or so, but it'll teach you all the stuff that you'll ever learn in life. Just from now.
access it.
IQI.radioaccessday.com subscriptions and reminders for when experiences like this and more still live this Thursday.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, I heard we can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively. Across radio, video, podcasting, and social. We can figure out iron media to work for you. Get started today. IronAdvertising.com. That's IronAdvertising.com. As you are. And you know, going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, you are the ability to keep with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business trends and style. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, changing economic trends. You are more confident keeping 41,000 items ready to ship. You don't have to import on your way to the extra mile. Visit Realize.com. Hey, let's talk about your home and what is coming at it next. Every home in America, including yours, is going full electric faster than any of us ever had. That means your home needs to be ready for increased electrical demand at a time when the grid is on strain, energy costs are going up, and rolling outages are more common than ever. So where do you start? You start by going solar with a complete solar solution.
Alright, I found that documentary. It is called The Light Behind Freemasonry. It's by Bill Schoenbelling. And I'm going to post that right now. And the reason why I do is he put this out. So he's the one who tells you all the secrets about it. And thus, as a Mason, I can't get in trouble for it. But I really feel like it's unfair to a lot of women out there, particularly, that they're not allowed this information. And if I were a woman, I would want to know everything that's going on in the world, and it's unfortunate that they aren't allowed in some way. So, if you want to know what's going on, this is this is more than you'll ever learn in life. It's very interesting. Well, I want that too. There's definitely that. But no, it's one thing that I do on my stream is I'm a big advocate for women. This hasn't been passed in the United States, but it's called the Equal Rights Amendment. It was something that was um, proposed in the 1970s and never was passed, particularly because it would have caused some issues with male and female restrooms and some other, will women be eligible for the draft? But I think we're past all of that. Really, as an advocate for women, particularly, I know what I go through on a daily basis with different platforms and how they can cancel your account really for any reason. And so in particular, I know, so I live my life on the internet. I'm live right now on TikTok and YouTube. And I know if I take off my pants, and show my genitalia, my account will get banned. I know if I take off my shirt, I have no issue. However, if a woman takes off her shirt, she will get banned as well. And I think that is unfortunate. I feel that the technocracy or the corporations that run these platforms are de facto discriminating against women. And I don't think that is right. If you are a man and you are at the beach, you can go on Instagram and show those pictures. However, if you do the exact same thing as a woman, you'll get your account banned. I don't think that is right. I'm about equality. And I don't think that it's right to be able to discriminate on the basis of color of your skin or any skin for any reason at all. So I'm definitely an advocate for women when it comes to just their ability to be able to provide for themselves. I don't think it's fair that I, as a man, can take my shirt off on YouTube and it's fine, but if I had a sister, she wouldn't be able to, and she would lose her account. I don't think it's right. So definitely I'm an advocate for women there. And that isn't to say that I want to see more breasts. If I want to see breasts, it's very easy to see breasts I'm really out here to advocate for women to be able to provide for themselves. And I mean, if you have a NIP slip, you can lose your account as a woman. That to me is unfair. So I look forward to different social medias changing their policies. I know they've started to, and they allow people to breastfeed, but to me that's not enough. I feel like you should be able to show your skin without repercussions, and at least not you lose your whole account. And that's what's currently happening if you break these rules. So I advocate for women in many different ways as well, but that's definitely one of them. And I did put that link in the chat. In fact, so here's a funny thing. This guy Bill Sullivan, let me say his name correctly. Snowbilling. He has been everything. He was a witch. He's an ex-Mormon. He was like, basically, if you could do it, he joined it, and he tells you all the secrets about all these things. So you'll learn some things about witchcraft and Freemasonry. And so it's actually in the, I pinned it to the Jumbotron there. So if you ever have any questions about the secrets about Freemasonry, you can watch stuff on Netflix and stuff. That's not going to tell you the secrets. This one will. So I definitely, I advocate, if you're going to watch anything about it, it's that. And I can also say then I hold my perhaps oath that I may or may not have taken in Lodge, so that I'm not giving away the secrets this person is. So you get the information, but I still kind of am able to keep the secrets that I may or may not have said I would. That's absolutely right. There's nothing that says you can't do that in Lodge. So until they make a rule against that, I don't see that I've done anything incorrect.
I want to ask you about JFK, because the story is told from many circles that maybe that's why he was killed, because looking to explore or expose UFO secrets. Would you say anything to that? The one project I have
Yes, I have been living the streaming show for the last 2 years. Well, it depends. I have multiple YouTube channels going at any one time. I could have a few people who are watching me, a few, maybe 2 or 3 on each channel. I have over 2,000 followers on one of my YouTube accounts. I got another 1,000 followers on another YouTube account. It's difficult because I'm just living my life on a daily basis, and I'm not someone who's famous, so it's just basically kind of boring for people. I certainly understand. However, it's boring now. In the future, we'll be able to use AI to be able to edit the videos so that you get, and this is currently done. Basically, I can put a link into YouTube of a 12-hour video of mine and get a 3-minute short where it picks up the highlights of the day. Is it that good? No, because the app is in beta and it's still working out some of the things. But perhaps in the next year or two, it will definitely be something that people won't have to watch 12 hours worth of footage to see what I did in a day. They'll be able to get a little highlight reel in a YouTube short, and it's much more digestible. And I mean, what we've just discussed over the course of the past few hours is really interesting information, and a lot of people would be interested to see it, but they don't want to watch 12 hours of me, and perhaps 8 of which I may be sleeping, and I certainly understand that. So I look forward to AI to be able to help with a lot of this, particularly the editing. I like to say I'm all content. I don't have time to edit. Have I edited in the past? Absolutely. But it can take, hours to edit a video, and that's just not prudent when I am really just doing this to get out as much data as possible. And according to The Economist in 2017, and I'm in agreement, data is Earth's #1 resource. It's more valuable than petroleum, than gold, than platinum, than anything. And I really think in the future people will study this in an academic sense. They'll watch what my eating habits have been. They'll watch what my sleep patterns have been. Not just mine because I think I'm great. By no means. Anybody who would have done this, because it's such an amount of human data, we've never had this much to be able to study. And it's particularly, I don't just stream on one stream. I stream at any given time on 6 different streams, and that's just on YouTube. I also am like, why do I do it on 6 different streams? I like to have different angles because I think in the future people may want to live my life virtually, but also I want to make sure to capture everything in 360 degrees. So I have cameras in front of me, I have cameras behind me, I have cameras to the right, to the left, I have a camera on the ceiling, and I have a camera that records what I'm doing on my computer screen. So basically you have like a virtual world of mine if you'd like to in the future to be able to see what life is like. And in the same way that people have documented life through cave paintings, the prehistoric times, and in mosaic, um, and then in the first photographs, and then the first videos. And we look at those in today and consider those to be really, really important for how society was viewed. And I really think in the future generations from now, perhaps will think the same thing of what I've done now, because they'll be able to watch it in a really nice edited form because of AI, and really have a nice grasp of what life is like, in addition to many of the things that we don't currently know that cameras can do. So right now we just do cameras, it's like a um, two-dimensional portrait or like image of someone. But cameras will improve to the point where you'll be able to zoom in on things like at a really amazing rate. You'll be able to take the like perhaps my cameras aren't always in 4K and things like that, but in the future, all images, all video, you'll be able to make 8K or whatever you want, 4K, 8K, whatever, instantaneously through AI. Additionally, you may be able to see what I'm thinking in my mind using AI in the future and different types of cameras, and perhaps augmented reality aspects. You'll be able to know what the temperature is. You'll be able to know what my temperature is. You'll be able to know like the wind speed. There'll be all kinds of things that cameras will be able to detect in the future that we can't currently. So I'm banking on a lot of that, and perhaps one day I may be the most famous person on Earth, and perhaps as well the wealthiest person on Earth, because if you go to the Bill Gates quote of the 1990s where he says content is king. Well, if that's true, I have more content than any person ever uploaded in the history of the internet, and definitely that's making me a wealthy person today.
That was the whole idea that you use the interface. Like with Will stuff that says, you have a crowd and you figure it's why. You got a crowd, you can't interface.
Can you repeat the first part of your question?
And if you take a look at the Firefox, it's really done by TV for that. It's really great. The thing about the interface is seeing the Russian nuclear war, whatever it was. That's the whole story that UFO people are telling you about trying to track.
Well, yeah, so this has my consent. The fact that I give my consent to do all of these things, and I understand that in the future you might be able to, view me in an augmented way where I don't have clothes on, where I have different clothes on, where I don't have glasses on. Those are all things that I consent to. But when I'm having a conversation with a friend, even just on the street, that's between us. I don't necessarily think that Big Brother or the police need to know what's going on there. But with the declassification of everything that happened with the PRISM program and Edward Snowden, I've learned that we don't have privacy. That it really doesn't exist. So instead of kind of hiding like many people do and try to stay as private as possible, I I've done the opposite and said, you know what, I'm just going to give you my consent to be able to peer into my life as much as you want. But the way that I see the difference is you have my consent to do this. It's not necessarily being spied on by some kind of third party where I haven't given them my consent. I hope that answers your question.
So yeah, that was a very interesting thing where he basically said, yeah, we just tested every time we met with no.
It's a great question. I, at least for the past 2 years, have been celibate, and I honestly, I'm interested in girls. I love women. I wear sex with many women, and really had really great relationships with women. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm able to do this, is I've never hurt anyone. I've never cheated on anyone. I've been very honest in my previous relationships, particularly with women. And so, at least I kind of am looking at the benefits perhaps in the future of, I might be someone who, if I'm famous or wealthy, I might be in high demand. So it may be a sacrifice that is perhaps will be beneficial to me. But really, currently, I see what I'm doing as something that is bigger than something that I want to just have a relationship with someone. And I understand that even though I consent to the cameras, perhaps someone in the future wouldn't necessarily consent to them. And so I understand if I ever did find someone with whom I fell in love, I would respect their wishes, perhaps. And if they said, look, it's either the cameras or me, so to speak, I might have to make a decision. But I think anyone who really loved me would understand this is part of the life that I live and would understand that maybe, it's beneficial to the world. And they would understand the bigger plan that I have with it and that I think that it could be for all men, without any religion. Certainly. And that's not something that that I think I will, and I discussed this a little bit. I think I will meet a woman someday and we'll have children. That's really when I start to think, would I want to have my kids' life on video? In fact, the previous case I was on is really interesting. The person who was hosting it, I think their name is FADJ.E. And they told me they were the first person. They said, I think it's really interesting that you stream your life and you're like the Truman Show. They said, I'm very much like the Truman Show myself. I was the first person born on a live stream in 1996. And I thought that was really fascinating too. And it's kind of something that I contemplated in the future. Let's say I found a woman who was, okay with us being. I'm not saying everything in our life has to be on camera in the future. I think that, I would respect her wishes, certainly. But if we wanted to have children and such, would we want to have our whole lives on camera? Perhaps. And if we did, we might want to have that moment on camera as well. And, a lot of people do this when it comes to their own movies. They just don't publish it for the world. That's the only thing that I think kind of makes it beneficial, is that I just have no issue.
The people in the GIA people in the Middle East say, hey, it's kind of weird. Of course, like it does. And the gas goes to spin off the rack, and the thing is floating in the kitchen. Almost anything. Walk up, like, absolutely. What are you? When your dad show up, and they do this display, and then you get this disclosure that people are curious, and they push this forward. Everything. They send out complaints for the fact that, it's such a terrible way. I'll tell you what, this Debbie Dan, if the guy behind the disclosure, he's the guy who went to all the three-letter agencies and said, you guys can't get this thing out. We're going to drop this thing. We're going to move this thing. We're not going to be sponsored.
Liz, you're a child of the 80s. So, what were the first video games on a PC that you played?
Down to sea level in the north. You want everybody to go, wow, what's going on here? And like, the curiosity goes, and that's how you advance science. And that's what they're doing. Slowly they're moving things to keeping people curious, as opposed to 1874 when Max Planck was rising before he won the Nobel Prize. They're explaining the physics, we got to figure it out. That's what we got to do. Keep it curious. You can see this disclosure thing taking place by all these weird things they're doing. And we're moving into the disclosure thing where people are trying to figure out what's going on. And as we move along, we discover things, and we discover that stuff.
Did you ever play Age of Empires or Age of Kings? Very well, I love those games. I'm in agreement with Admire Civilization. A little bit, that like he's like obsessed with nuclear weapons. I thought it perhaps was programmed incorrectly, but please brief me. Wonder what is going on in such parts of reality, and bring it over that is consistent with what I knew it to be. The first programming I've ever done was in I think it's Civilization 2. So Civilization 2 had this aspect that um, it had global warming as a characteristic of the game, which ruins the game because you'll build up these really great cities, and then global warming will strike near them, and it'll depopulate the cities, and eventually the game just becomes unplayable. But if you shut off too, and so the first ever coding I ever did was changing it's like the setting that's like global warming enacted as a one. And if you change it to zero, it turns it off. And boy, Civilization 2 becomes amazingly fun. I mean, not that it wasn't a fun game before, but global warming just it ruins the game. And I have played it. That's the one where you have like a certain amount of time where you have to get your colony set up before the colonial powers come and attack, either England, France, or Spain. Yeah, that is a wonderful game as well. I like it a lot. Did you ever play Sid Meier's Pirates? I agree. It has lots of aspects to it where you're able to sword fight and you're able to trade and do all kinds of things. That's a fun game. And then he has a space game. Do you remember the name of it? Agreed. Just one moment. I'm gonna look that one up. Um, he has Civilization Beyond Earth. It's not that. Civilization, Sid Meier's Starship. To my knowledge, it's like what you said. It has some kind of Latin name. Um, that could be Civilization game. And yes, you're right. It may not be a Sid Meier game, but I love those kind of world conquering games. Those are really fun to me. Um, I think once or twice. We didn't have much money growing up, so I can't say that I had all kinds of opportunities to play them. Um, did you enjoy Red Alert? Oh, here's what it was. Alpha Centauri. Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Railroad, that was a good game. Then we talked about, okay, so did you ever play Civilization Revolution? It's, it's very similar to Civilization Colonization, where you have like a certain amount of time before the, mother country come and invade, which is a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, Sim Golf. Did you ever play Sim Golf? Now that was an amazing game. So basically, it was just a game where you would create your own golf course. But as a golfer, I just thought that this was so much fun and so interesting. He had a lot of different. What did you say? Yes, I did. I loved that game. So, are you talking about the one? I think let's see here. I think it was a Bullfrog game, and yeah. So the original one, okay. So there's like Theme Park Tycoon and all those, but the original theme park one I think is still just amazing. Where you could build your own theme park. You could also ride the ride, which I thought was really innovative for a game. That was a phenomenal game.
Easy things to contact the player. People can call your story featuring the suburban mom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that game taught me so much about like modern economics, particularly like they would teach you like if you want to like your profit margin, you want to increase profits, like put more ice in your drink, or if you want to make people buy more drinks, you put more salt in your fries. And like as a little kid, it made me think like, hey, these corporations might be doing this kind of stuff, and it always made me wonder like why are they putting this, it just made me opened up all these questions for me of how corporate governance works, and I really learned that from that video game. My parents always said you're not going to learn anything from video games, but boy, I learned a lot from them.
Innovation Refund has hundreds of five-star test pilots and Google reviews that are certified with a better business skills. Trust the business with the experts I do. Innovation Refund. Go to getyourfunds.com, start the process. It just under 10 minutes. You can be on your way to receiving money for your business. And there's no charge of fuck you. They don't get paid unless you get paid. They've already helped clients bring over $5 billion in tax refunds through the ERC. So go to getrefunds.com or download the app from the App Store, getrefunds.com. This is my go-to book, The Managing Party to Go Refund. Are you or a loved one dealing with the aftermath of a serious health accident? If you're facing mounting medical bills and loss of wages, you may feel overwhelmed.
I agree. I think you can learn a lot from them, particularly from historical aspects in a lot of ways. Did you ever play the Total War series? Any of the like Rome Total War games? They're amazing. Those games are some of the best games of all time, and I really feel that they don't get enough play, so to speak. I mean, I just think that they're fascinating, but also they're really fun to be able to control armies in real time. Is an amazing aspect of the game.
More shops, Ivory Tennis is identified 24 news room. A new study by
I have not. I really haven't played any modern games. I played Fortnite for like 10 minutes or so. I wasn't good at it. I do like the Grand Theft Autos. I can say that, but they haven't put out a new one in like 10 years or so.
TOC continues maximum enforcement for Memorial Day weekend. So far this year, there are 73 more arrests than this time last year. TOC maximum enforcement period is tonight at 11:59 p.m. Police are looking for intoxicated, distracted, and non-seatbelt wearing drivers. President Biden.
Right. I have not played that game. I do know quite a bit about it though, and how big its world is. I mean, Rockstar does a really great job on those games, and I understand why they're cashed out. Have you heard rumors of where the new uh, uh, Grand Theft Auto is going to be?
Fort Bragg is getting a new name this week. It was named after Confederate General 105 years ago. The National Defense Authorization Act of 2021 is using army bases that were once named after
Agreed. So I think it's going to be Vice City again, which is like Miami, but it'll be like 4 times as big, like what you're saying. Additionally, it will be like you'll be running a lot of missions in planes to Colombia. So you're going to be like a drug smuggler in some aspects of it. Which do I know this for a fact? No, I've seen some leaks about it though, and a lot of the artwork that I've seen leaked from it looks very Vice City. If you're familiar with what Vice City was.
Yes, the drizzle afternoon sun high today is 60 to the 70s. Right now it's 59 in Brea, Dana Point at 50. 61 in Northridge and 52 in Longview.
Yes, I do. I think that that's going to be a major aspect of the game. So, flying from Miami to like across the Caribbean to Colombia, making a like landing on a not even an airport, but like an airship in like a rainforest, basically, getting your cocaine or perhaps and then like flying the vehicle, the plane back to the United States, I think would be a major part of it. I think from what I've read, drug smuggling was going to be a really, it wasn't just going to be like a side mission. It was going to be part of um, the primary storyline. So if that's true, yeah, I really do still they probably have to improve the, the controllability of the plane. But yeah, I think that that's going to be a major part of it. This is a great question. Um, Honestly, if it counts, and I haven't seen it recently enough. Well, one thing that I did try to do is watch every single major sci-fi movie of all time on the stream. I've also watched, done my best to watch every major film of all time. In fact, like this year we watched all of the Oscar nominees. I've done my best to read every major audiobook on the stream and every major music album just because I want to be a compilation of what like human society is. So when we were watching all of the, and I say we, I just said it, just whatever people were watching it at the time with me, um, one of the ones that I really just think becomes more and more true is Idiocracy. If you consider that a sci-fi movie, are you familiar with Idiocracy? So it's essentially a film set 400 years in advance, in the future, where you have like what society has. The, yes, exactly. And so I just think that that's a really interesting take on society. I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite. You know, so if I would say Dune is very good. Um, I would say Planet of the Apes can be, depending on which one, is really good. Blade Runner is very good. Um, to choose, even like Terminator is very good. I mean, that's like sci-fi. 2001: A Space Odyssey, I think, is quite interesting, particularly for when it was made. For me to choose one, it's like choosing between children. I really think the Back to the Future are really good, including Back to the Future 2. I think there are a lot of things in Back to the Future 2 that are pretty accurate with how society has gone, including the Cubs winning the World Series. Um, so I would say if I had to choose one, just because I think it's such an amazing commentary on society, idiocracy. What about you? Lizard, what is your favorite sci-fi film? Lizard, can you hear me? I see you giving me the tears face. You can't hear me? You can hear me. I cannot hear you. Lizard, are you speaking? Well, it seems that Lizard Craft, he sent me a message that he lost his voice, and I think that makes me the sole survivor here of Logan's little Squid Game. So, with that, Logan, can you hear us? Logan's probably doing his own thing. And maybe time for me to bounce from the other person in here. Um, well, I mean, I don't necessarily have to. I would say that if you're interested, and just one moment, I can play that the light behind Freemasonry. If anyone's interested in it, would you be interested in hearing that? Okay, so I'll play that just one moment, and I'll get it up on my computer. And it's really fascinating, and you don't necessarily have to be watching it at the same time, but it'll tell you there are a lot of that goes on. And maybe this Trinity, Logan might come back on and share the wonderful uh, this is called Freemasonry, The Life Behind Masonry. It's by Bill Snow and Ian Spelling. And he's quite a character. But I say that I don't know anybody who's a witch, who's a Mormon, he's all kinds of things. But here he's going to tell you about his secret. I guess in a secret now.
I started off taking 2-3 times a day for 6 days, but I'd say within the first week and a half, I noticed an amazing difference. One of those crazy feelings of the anticipation of knowing that I was going to go into this, they were gone. It's absolutely gone. My mind is blown. I'm just, well, would your wife corroborate your story usually that you bailed on your jacket, or no, you actually did recover that back? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, she was. She was there one time when I was doing the gig, and I lost consciousness. They just freaked her out. So you're taking the time for a week and a half to get some results there. Obviously, your body is your testing ground ultimately, and I say eventually when you see something, you feel it, you like it, and you're not having to think of it anymore, that's pretty significant. And I'm so excited about this stuff, I will tell you. And I even loan boxes for people just to have fun. Oh, George here, and get another happy all on the bar. So what is this? Or visit carnivore.com. CORNIV.com. Hunter and Adventure has done comics and graphic novels from Marvelous Entertainment. Based on the brilliant sci-fi masterpieces by Marvin Summer. Acclaimed comic creator Andy Fish and
Can someone give me a thumbs up? Can you hear it? Good, thank you.
Great old comic book stories you'll remember in their lifetime. On this planet, history, codename Adam Wallace, tales of singularity and the kid-oriented magazine. Join us at iRagged.com. Well, actually, there's less than much because we thought. But actually, there's a lot more to it. Let me give you my definition. I define masonry as the world's oldest secret fraternal organization. It is one of the three order-to-order transfers that were visited and featured internationally and even in time. New York Times magazine. American symbolism was when the old Christian chaos is a blue and natural for 18-year-long Bible book of spiritualism. Now, you've heard me talking about all that every time I imagine that I had that program we were balancing. The night I'm really taking this and they're only just classes in a blue line. That's that is in fact core of the whole feedback, and I'm so happy to have the book back for free, and I appreciate that you're enjoying the book. About your journey during every country your mom and also about your interest in over time. Part of your journey was California. Well, my journey was over 18-year process, and during that time, my mother I became the dedication to see girls working the road, and at that time, I didn't know anything about spiritualism or the town to go down or anything, and I had a niece who proposed this project, and he wanted me to try to go with this great, it was different hard for me, and there was nothing to it, but I was very welcome there, but then throughout the process,
he supported me, this medium who I worked with started getting messages from her. And so it was through my mom that they kind of the whole project is kind of said to me about the whole length of the project. And yeah. Yes, when I grew up in Buffalo, New York, Mansfield, New York, it's the town that's home to the world's largest spiritual community. And when I was a teenager, my school and the museum connecting people from the crowd and we get them short messages. And with my cousin, I messaged him, there's a man here who wants to know that he's close to death, and that's really how he died. And it's very popular in China, so my cousin thought, oh my God, it's crazy. Neither of my grandfathers died of smoking. He went home and tried to laugh it off with her parents, and my uncle said, no, that's actually true. Turns out that our grandfather was still in the hospital with cancer. We always thought he had died of brain cancer, but he didn't, and now he gave this message to be my cousin. And I just thought, how could a stranger know that such a thing? They have a stranger's fire with no anything involved, and it just not stay with me. And so then Peter showed us on my project. Early on, I was confronted with the fact that I was trying to photograph invisible things. There are people in rooms together having very sincere experiences with other people who weren't there in the room. And how could we even photograph something like this? And that's kind of one of the things the book is how I figure out how to be truthful about the topic of spiritualism. And one thing I discovered was that spiritualism has its own tradition of photography called spirit photography, and that has been written out about the textbook I had studied from when I was in college. And I realized it's a very unorthodox history, a very history of imagery, but that's where I started to kind of figure out how to make this environment. I was not expecting the fundamental research and mysteries between spiritualism and photography when I began. How do you handle this is very much that's photography and spiritual photography in 1848 in upstate New York? What I discovered is that probably spiritualism and photography were popularized in Rochester, New York, literally almost on the same street. Kodak Tower is right down the street, and it's called Buckingham Hall, which is no longer there. That's where the first public seance happened. And I discovered early on people were trying to combine spiritualism and photography together by trying to photograph the spirit world.
For a long time, over 150 years, black men out of lot, because in the film, they were wearing black times, and you were wearing what you were called a real
Of those cultures, and yeah, that's why I first introduced the term ectoplasm, and I think it's common that most people have heard the term ectoplasm in those countries, but they don't realize that that's what it's actually white generation spiritual drawing that term from spiritual practice. Most countries were inspired by the man family. And yes, that connection was, I never really thought about it before I started this project. And so there's this awareness of ectoplasm in culture.
That is a
Oh,
concern.
yeah, he's
Because even one black
so
ball
knowledgeable, and I also
you
was
will
able
not
to
be
with
allowed
his
to talk.
father,
Because they
before his
quote
father
that one
passed, and his
Bible
father
verse
wrote a
that says,
message
"Behold, how
that
good
said
it is
something
to have
so
a
called
country
history of
presented
hope.
in all unity."
And
And I'm
so it
saying
was
if
really
one
fun to
nation
talk about all the
doesn't
pictures
like you, it
with
doesn't
both
consider
efforts.
you a decent person, you will not
So
be allowed to
he
protest life. You will try another lie. You will not be allowed to have life in the one black ball here. Now, I really want to tell you guys the ways I'm trying to already the words of will and allude to. I'm not going back to my line work. We have a radio that's got that out there already. So it has been in the hand, not even with them. But I already have time to go through it tonight.
I mean,
But the right to say I was equal
spiritual from
from
erupted
now, I
in
can't think a lot of
1948. Soon there was
I
a
think
million
the
of people having deaths, and from America to England. A lot of people don't realize that spiritualism and the whole idea of the kingdom started in America, and then it went to England and Europe. And I don't try to do the thing. There's one reason, but one is something I realized early on is that the belief or the hope is deeply tied to personal experience. You can try to explain it to somebody, but whether they believe or not, it's deeply tied to what kind of experience they have. And there's many people I've met along the way who were complete believers and were taught to have an experience connected to this in their mind. I joined the line. I was initiated and an apprentice in 1975. I was passed the fellow craft at the Retail here. We're learning in 1973. I was three people who tried to get past the main soon after that, I went to New York, where I tried to spread the word because people were telling me that was the Christmas shocking discovery to find out all the later on, I did the shrine. Were not only interested, but it was very important to their work. And I also one of the most famous scientists in the United States, we don't know his name so much now, but William Cook, I was very involved. I was a real fanatic. I was following television and also helped reinforce the X-ray. Part of the reason for going to start here is my wife said it was that way. You had mentioned Edison and Tesla earlier. Was the first person to invent forensic science. He gave his ideas about how to do forensic science by testing the family. Because he was trying to focus on active typing. And so he started focusing on the criminal side of the crime. So you see this as the whole other discipline of science. My wife wanted to move back to you for reasons with her daughter got her video. My big thought was that it's not the same scientific experience, technology, and that so many people, who was based off her base, I was going to black workers that were some of the investigative work. And one of these checks came back to me. People are just on the check. I'll be bringing it to the Philippines. The two in the, everybody is writing a check to the church. Anyway, so here I was being prayed for and who cared, no. And along the way, what had happened was, I decided I wanted to church for a gift reason, and so by the time we got to the house, I was one. And, I was still awake. Anyway, there's a lot of still constitutions and scientific labs. We're dealing with things that are deeply tied to emotions and so what happened was I thought the kind of erratic things don't happen in a predictable way. So I think it wasn't super easy to be able to do this and then there was some off. Yeah, I think all these people